Yep.
Oh, nope.
Oh.
Yep. No. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah. Hey.
Yeah.
It's
Ooh.
What?
Guess what time it is, Ken?
It's time for the Geeky Gamer Podcast. It's 7 p.m. exactly.
Exactly.
It's exactly 7 p.m. And
Exactly 7 p.m.
You know, if you have epilepsy, maybe you shouldn't watch the beginning of the
No,
show.
don't.
Tonight features us, all lowercase letters, Mr. Interrupt with a score, Tim Roberts, Daniel Hulker, Nostalgic, and Natalia Cline are our Patreons. Please consider joining and becoming Patreonic with us. We need all
Patreonic.
the support we can get. Thanks Couchfire Media for the art media production, as well as Soiree Productions.
Exactly.
Well, shit they do.
They don't do shit. As little as possible, really.
Tonight, it's
We got
us.
Daniel Hulker.
And Daniel
We got
Hulker.
Daniel Hulker on.
So, I mean, we can talk to him about
Hey, Daniel.
all shit.
Before we get to you,
Geeky.
we need to talk about what the GGP is. The Geeky Gamer Podcast. Yeah, so we're two geeks. That's right. Two gamers, really. Ken, Howl, and myself. And we interview guests about what they are geeky about. I'm not sure the right way to say that. That's just how I do say it. It's very conversational. If you guys have a different way, a more efficient way of saying that, we're two gamers who interview a guest about what they're geeky about. Too many abouts. Let us know in the chat or the comments. It would help a lot. Tonight, we were going to have a different guest, but some family stuff came up and she could not make it. So she has been rescheduled. And thankfully, our buddy, our true friend, Mr. Hulker, the Incredible Hulkster, our compatriot, has stepped in to help us out. Hey, Hulker, who are you?
My name is Daniel Hulker. I am a patron of the Geeky Gamers.
Woohoo!
I patronize
Ken has
them.
to take off a piece of clothing every time you say patron.
Yeah. And I play in the various games run by our arbiter here, as well as other guest arbiters.
Arbitration.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that's
Now,
it.
how long have you been gaming, man?
I think I probably started around 7th grade, which would have been,
God, you're such a geek.
yeah. Would have been, I don't know, 94, 93?
94?
Probably 94, yeah.
Nice.
I think that's the year that Kurt Cobain died.
Yeah, April
way
of that
to
year.
fucking bring it down a notch.
I mean, it is
Good
kind
day.
of, Nirvana.
30 years ago last month.
Yeah,
Wow.
It's been a minute. What a depressing day that was.
Yeah, it may have been on my birthday, honestly.
Yeah.
No, it was earlier. April the 8th,
Oh, you know.
Oh wow.
I think.
April the 5th.
5th.
You
Well,
fuck. How dare you?
It's kind of funny because I think Disney signed ICP close to that time.
Disney signed ICP?
Yeah, they signed the Insane Clown Posse.
Wait, hold on. What?
Well, they thought they were like clowns and it was funny. It's a whole thing, man.
I think someone at Disney probably asked themselves, what is a juggalo?
What?
A
What is
lover
a
of
juggle?
all things
you-
Fago or method.
Are you? God, you guys know so much about it. Hold on a second. Was ICP ever signed by Disney? From 1997 to 98, the Great Malenko era. Manager Alex Abyss negotiated a contract with the Disney-owned label Hollywood Records. Okay, so Hollywood Records, which was owned by Disney, which reportedly paid $1 million to purchase the Insane Clown Posse contract from Battery Jive BMG Records. So they knew who they were. They paid $1 million for them.
I think Disney has subsidiaries that may not have the Disney name blasted all over them, but
Hollywood Records.
They deal with not so kid-friendly entertainment and make money.
Holy shit. Is that hypocrisy? I mean, is it actually hypocrisy? Like, we think of Disney as family friendly, but I mean,
no.
Was that ever their mission? No,
never. I mean, they went from like real racism to like sexploitation of young children.
Right. But at the time, that was family friendly, right?
Yeah, sure. So yeah, no, I and now Disney's just exploitation. So
about the mission of the Walt Disney Company is to entertain, inform, and no Oxford comma, inspire people around the globe through the power of unparalleled storytelling, reflecting the iconic brands, creative minds, no Oxford comma, and innovative technologies that make ours the world's premier entertainment company. Entertain, I understand. Inform, what? And that's current. I don't know what their original mission was.
Yeah, I don't think it was that. I think early on it was to like make mouse cartoons.
Says Walt Disney from the outset only had one goal in mind. Money. No. Money. To entertain and engage the public, occasionally with a dose of education. He was clear that he created entertainment, not art. Walt Disney competed for the public's approval with giant movie studios and later the powerful television networks. Yeah, so he just wanted to entertain people and get their money.
Money's good.
I mean, I guess that follows. There's no real moral mission statement there, right?
Yeah.
So why not buy ICP?
Yeah. I mean, they bought everything else. I mean, I think Disney might just own everything at some point.
We have to clearly buy stock in Disney, and then we'll own Disney, right?
You don't want to.
Isn't that how you do it?
You don't want to do that. I think that they're so big. I wouldn't buy into any entertainment company at this point because the model's changed. Even though they do have a good infrastructure in place with the physical activities going to the Disneyland and Disney World and Disney Cruise and Disney
Cruise
Space. YouTube can
so
get dysentery on your next Disney cruise. What is it? They have a real. We were talking about fecal matter earlier. They have a real problem with fecal matter on cruises.
Really?
Yeah. All that stuff.
Like in what way?
Well, it seems like it's.
There's just shit everywhere.
There's shit everywhere.
I mean, if you're on a big old boat full of, a bunch of people that have unlimited buffet, lots of seafood, and alcohol, you're gonna get the meat sweats and the meat shits. You're gonna get that good old fashioned seasick meat shit. There's gonna be some fecal matter. You're on a boat, goddammit. Hulker, thoughts?
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, you're gonna get fecal matter everywhere.
We went on a cruise once.
Oh, nice.
Once.
How'd it go?
Yeah, we did. Back in 2009.
Back in 2009. Hulker, you want to talk about it?
Yeah, we about 6 months prior, your brother and his wife
allegedly
said to me, "We're going on a cruise in Alaska to get married." And I think it might have been Megan who just said out of the blue, "Hey, do you want to go?" And I said, "Well, yeah, I do."
Fuck yeah.
Well, yeah, why not? So I got the week off of work, and I went on the cruise with y'all.
Well, aside from, the antics of my weird family, what was your impression, of Alaska?
So the interesting thing about that I found about Alaska was, we predominantly visited Peninsular Alaska, which is along the coast of North America, and it's the very southernmost part. And we also visited it during August. So as a result,
I thought it was September.
No, it was August. It was the last week of August, so it might have ended in September.
All right.
As a result, the weather there was quite warm. A lot warmer than most people
warm. Yeah, when we
say warm. Well, I mean, it wasn't
it wasn't hot.
It wasn't hot, but it was not winter.
No, you can't go there in winter.
Yeah.
They'll get you.
One anecdote that I remember hearing that always stuck with me, and I think it's really interesting, is that I was told that if you go, that if you're in Alaska and you're doing yard work, if you have a home with a yard, you always have to have a watch with you, because especially during the summer, you could be doing a lot of yard work and then look at your watch and realize, oh, it's 1 a.m.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because the sun's still up.
Yeah. That's assuming you don't get tired, right? Like ever.
I mean, I guess people. I mean, maybe they get into it, or they're kind of lazy, or they're kind of slow, or whatever.
I get what you mean. I woke up today, out of space and time.
As you
got
do.
up to, huh?
As you do.
As you do. I got up to, use the bathroom, and could have sworn it was like 10 in the morning. I look at the clock, it's 5:30. No, 6:30. And I was
in
like,
the afternoon?
No, AM. It was this morning. It's not. Anyway, I do get it. You're out. It's light. You're doing your yard work, getting it done, and you know what time it is. That's why you don't live in Alaska. But that's like northern Alaska, right? That's not southern Alaska.
I think southern part can be affected by it as well. Now, you do know if you do live in Alaska, you get paid to live there, right?
How much?
About $1,300 a year.
Okay, so what is that, like $100 some odd dollars a month? Is that right?
Something around there.
$110 a month. I mean, $110 to live there. The thing is that when we were there, I remember we went to McDonald's, and McDonald's was like $14, and this is 2009. Like, it was 2024 prices in 2009 in Alaska. So that $110.
It's probably 2050 prices in Alaska now.
Dude. Although it was pretty. It's like the most beautiful thing ever when you're walking around. Of course, every single person you come across is like, by the way, did you know this is a rainforest? And it's like cold as shit. And you're like, oh yeah, it's a rainforest. Hey Hulker, why is it a rainforest?
Because it has a lot of rain. It's the same reason that Antarctica is a desert.
Yeah, Antarctica is a desert if you didn't know. And the reason Antarctica is a desert is because, Hulker,
it doesn't get any rain.
Doesn't get any rain.
Then how did the glaciers form?
God.
Well,
they don't.
it gets precipitation. It definitely gets precipitation, but parts of it just don't get enough. And so I think at least part of it is I guess it meets the definition of desert if precipitation is your only real definition.
Well, you know, people talk about how hot the desert is because it's hot, but at night it's real cold. I watch Spaceballs. I know all about it. The desert can be cold. I live in LA, and motherfucker gets cold. Not like really cold.
LA doesn't get cold.
Not big C cold. It does get cold. It's chilly.
Yeah, it's chilly, so you put on a sweater.
People are liars, okay? People are liars. They're like, oh yeah, the weather's always great. It never changes. It's always sunny. That's bullshit. Although it is incredibly sunny right now.
Yeah.
But
what's the temperature?
It's not
in the valley today.
Right now, I think it's 1,000.
Yeah.
Yeah. I want to say it's about 1,000 degrees. I mean, it's like summer heat right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's gonna be that way till January.
I don't know. Within the first month that I was here, they had a tropical storm.
Yeah. Well, that's
and it rained more in California, or I should say in Los Angeles, than like it has in like 100 years or something this year.
Yeah. You brought the rain.
Let's see. I do bring rain.
I always wondered if tropical storms could get up there, but I guess they can.
Apparently they can. Nowadays, so it is 81 degrees Fahrenheit, 41% humidity. For those of you that use the wrong kind of temperature, is 27 degrees Celsius.
Okay.
With a wind speed of 11 miles an hour and 0 precipitation.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be in the 80s and the 70s and the 80s. That's what it is.
Oh, that's cool. That's nice. It's not hot.
It's not awful. And, it's a dry heat. It's not awful. Tonight, it's going to be 56. So that's what I'm saying. It'll go from like 85 degrees to 60 degrees. And that's a pretty big jump. Is that usual all across the globe? Like in temperate zones?
I don't know.
Holger?
I think there's more of a when there's less humidity, there's definitely more of a temperature change. Kind of stays warmer if there's clouds. But if you don't have clouds or humidity, it'll get cold at night.
I don't know. I guess it's about a 20 temperature difference for you guys as well. Looks like it's about 77. And then it's going to pop down to 56 tonight.
Yeah, it was really nice today.
It's really nice now. I got all the windows open, the screens down. No air conditioning.
Yeah.
I feel very comfortable.
Right on. All right. So, Holker, we should probably talk about who our sponsor is tonight. Sponsoring this illustrious impromptu episode of GGP.
Tonight's sponsor is Good Intentions.
Ooh.
Because it's the thought that counts.
Thank you, Good Intentions. What is the adage about good intentions? The pathway to hell is paved with good intentions.
Yeah.
This would be the fourth time, I think, maybe the third or fourth, that our original guest has bailed. Now, usually when our guest bails, I can say usually because this is the fourth time, it's Ken and I getting, we won't say drunk. It's not really drunk.
On power.
A little schmammered, somewhat bungalowed, if you will. Alone, and our negativity tends to spiral into a tornado of vitriol.
Angry man shakes fist at Sky.
Yes.
Film at 11.
Thankfully, Holker, you have joined and don't have to leave for a little bit. I asked you to bring some stuff to talk about because you are a knowledgeable man person. What's one of your topics? Otherwise, I'm going to talk about films and chess.
Please say GIS. I think we should talk about the survey that was just made.
What survey? Tell me.
In our beautiful state, the airplane survey that they did.
I don't know.
You don't know about that survey?
No.
Yeah, tell us.
They flew. Apparently, they flew. I don't know, 40,000 air flights across the state over and over again, and mapped out the state.
So what aerial photography?
I have to look it up.
Sounds like Satan's playground to me.
I don't really deal with aerial photography very much.
It's called the Kentucky from Above.
Kentucky, Death from Above.
No, Kentucky from Above.
Yeah.
And it's it basically building and maintaining a current bitmap of the Commonwealth to meet the needs of the users of the state, federal, local, regional. It's like...
It sounds like a private company. Although it's Kentucky from Above, KY.gov.
It is a gov thing. Apparently reduces developing GIS applications, promotes data sharing, adds efficiencies to many state agencies, like, for instance, 911 when you're calling 911 and you're like, I'm at this coordinate, or they see your I don't know, they can find you.
So I can only imagine the conspiracy theories that are going on at some of the places that I've worked. Okay, so it looks like they took aerial photographs for elevation and such, and heat, perhaps. Well, it just looks like heat. It just looks like predator vision. I'm assuming that's elevation. It's kentuckyfromabove.ky.gov.
Yes.
It uses LiDAR for this aerial photography and elevation data. Well, interesting enough, I work sort of for the state as a contractor. Holker has many knowledges. Neither one of us have heard of this.
Well,
so what's the project?
I think it's just so they can have a really accurate map, LiDAR map.
I want to know. I'm gonna lean into this.
It's all for gaming purposes.
Who funded it?
I bet the state funded it. If I was gonna.
Yeah. Who lobbied for it is really what I'm asking.
They're
trying to watch us, Ken. They're trying to watch us in every move we make, and all the marijuana that we're growing on our hills.
I mean, the problem with that bit of conspiracy is that, I mean, I think there are 3 states with legal weed touching Kentucky at this point.
Inappropriately touching the KY, the Commonwealth, the whole land, on all sides, Sodom and Gomorrah have cloistered in our sanctified, stately. Please stop me before I keep on going.
But I mean, these are all things that for instance, they would have in the Into Space campaign that we do in Dreadlore. If we're doing it now, they have super accurate inch by inch maps of all these places we're going and into space.
Partners, KYTC, Kentucky Transportation Cabinet. Hey, Holker, why don't we know about this? The AML, the Kentucky Abandoned Mine Lands Division of Geographic Information. There's a shitload of these. Ken, if you wanted to, I don't know if you are or not, popping up this on the stream.
Yeah, it's in there.
Boone County Planning Commission. Interesting.
I'm looking at the imagery now. I think people should check it out. It looks really good.
It's got everything on the grid.
Interesting, and it's using ArcGIS. I just don't understand how we didn't hear about it.
I don't really deal in my line of work with satellite imagery all that often.
It's
not
not
that important
satellite
to me.
It was by a plane. They took photos out of a plane.
Or I don't deal with raster imagery.
The multi-million-dollar project began in 2010, when the economy was really good, and continues today. Funding partners for this effort include a lot of federal stuff. To date, the program has achieved statewide coverage of Phase 1. And Phase 2, statewide LiDAR. 6-inch leaf-off aerial photography. So I'm assuming... Yeah, what does that mean?
So you have leaf on and leaf off. Leaf off is during a time of year when the trees have more or less shed their leaves, and you get better aerial cover. You get better images of the areas around you, because otherwise a fair amount of structures and even streets can be obscured by the canopy.
Yeah, we don't have a leaf off era in Los Angeles.
Yeah, because you don't have any leaves.
And most shut up. And most recently, 3-inch, I like that, 3-inch ortho and oblique aerial photography. Ortho.
Huh.
Does anyone? I thought an orthodontist isn't that bones?
Well,
3-inch ortho.
Mouth.
Yeah,
3-inch mouth. Oh,
mouth, yeah.
3-inch ortho. So it's like a 3-inch.
Is like your bones
mouth and oblique wide aerial. Am I getting this right? Ortho meaning like 3-inch angle. It's not really an angle. This is on their website, like I know what it is, and there's no links. What does 3-inch ortho mean? I feel like I'm gonna go to like some dark web sex site if I look this up.
I don't think so. I don't think it's.
I want that 3-inch ortho.
I don't think that's what that is.
The ortho mattress.
An ortho photo is an aerial photograph that has been geometrically corrected at a uniform scale where features can be measured to their true distances.
Yeah, so I think it's about true distances is the answer. I think it's about reality versus like maybe the satellites are less accurate or something.
That sounds un-American. I don't know why. All right. Read the agency uses document for more information on how agencies are leveraging these data resources in business processes. Let us dig a little bit deeper and find out where the money goes. Listen, if there ain't no money involved, they ain't gonna do it. What the fuck? National Geodetic Survey.
4.2 million is something.
Holker, what's a geodetic?
I don't know.
Good. Kentucky Department of Fish and Wildlife Resources. Okay. There's a lot of shit on here. Parks, mines,
is like some
conservation.
Geodetic is relating to geodesy.
We almost called the podcast that.
It's
pretty close.
Geodesy?
Geodesy, yeah. Buckmud says...
As it
go on.
Applies to land survey.
Buckmud says, LiDAR has been used to locate entire cities in the Amazon. They use it for ocean stuff. I may be wrong about ocean scanning, but the Amazonian cities were found using LiDAR. Amazon, as in Lady Warrior Badasses, the area. Right.
Not as your future overlords.
Right.
That control
Geodetic.
every aspect of your life.
Oh, surveying. Why don't they just say surveying? English has many, many words that no one understands, including me. Well, okay, Ken, this is your topic. Where are we going with this?
I don't know. I just thought it was neat. I thought that Hulker was an expert in this, and so that's why I brought it up.
No, Hulker makes all the roads.
I don't do any of that. No.
Single-handedly. That's why none of the roads fucking.
No, if you want to blame one man,
all the roads.
that's the man. All the BG Parkway. Look at this man. Shame on you. Shame. What do you do, Hulker? Kind of. You can literally say anything right now, and the entire internet will believe you.
I believe you already.
I mean, I sit behind a computer all day.
He's a man of potted plants and knowing things.
Yeah.
Okay. Go on.
Yes. So I know you asked me to bring a couple of topics to talk about.
Yes.
I don't have them.
Good. I didn't expect you to. That's
I had good intentions.
You had good.
We could do a brief.
I brought that.
We could do a brief after hours of the Monday show.
We could start with that.
I've got some shit to talk about. Let's ask the chat. Hey, chat, would you rather talk about Ashwagandha or our Monday night game where all fucking hell broke loose between the players?
I think Burgess deserves a field promotion.
You know, it's about time that First Lieutenant Dolby Newman gave someone a field promotion.
That takes.
If I was Dolby, I would engage in self-promotion because, I mean, after all, you're like light years away from anyone else who would call you on it.
Sure.
It's true. I mean, Jazzy Cabbage's character, Cherokee Sue, Private First Class Cherokee Sue, calls you Captain. And so does Drizzle. So does Skip Trace.
Oh, wow. Yeah, it should get a promotion to Captain.
I mean, that'd be one. Well, no, that's a totally different aspect because you got Marine ranks. So Captain would be 03, I believe.
Yeah. No, I would definitely have jumped up like a bunch of ranks.
Well, you're 02. You're 02, so it'd just be one up.
Just one up rank.
What they're saying is you are in charge. You're in command of the vessel, and therefore you are a captain of the vessel, but you're not actually the rank of captain.
Yeah, that's true.
You're in command of the team.
Is that even possible to not be a rank of captain yet be captain of a vessel?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Any skipper is a captain of their boat. Right. So it's the idea of, are you the rank of captain or are you literally the captain of a vessel? It's just a misnomer, or it's not a misnomer. It's just the same word for two different things. So a captain in a branch of the military has a certain, I say this because I've looked at it a bunch. It's not because I've been in the service. They have certain responsibilities depending on the branch you're in. If you're in the Navy or in Star Trek and you are a captain, that's a very high rank. So that rank, I think it's an 05 or an 06.
It's right before Commodore.
No, Admiral. Commodore is it's an old rank. It depends on the time period. It's a like a celebratory rank. Like you've accomplished a bunch of shit and you're a captain. but you're not an admiral. So they make you a commodore. Or you're retiring and they make you a commodore so you have that prestige. From what I understand, and I think it's a very British rank. But could be wrong. Like Commodore Matthew Perry, I'm pretty sure wasn't a commodore when he did his shit. I think. Look me up. Tell me I'm wrong. It's good content. So a captain in the army, so like think of Saving Private Ryan. That's a person who, it's an 03. I think it's the same thing in the Marines, which is what you would be. Who's given special task missions. At the same time, you could be in charge of a company of men. So 100 some odd units. So it depends on like what's needed and where you are. You could also be a captain and like a lawyer, you know, and like a few good men. At any rate, first lieutenant is what Dolby became. He was a first lieutenant. He was dropped down to second, popped back up by Lieutenant Calabash. And the idea was you need the rank so that when you go into certain situations, you're able to assert your rank and say, okay, well, I'm a first lieutenant. I'm in charge of this platoon, but because you're on special mission, you actually have some clout. Whereas if you're a second lieutenant, it's like, oh, you're just a butter bar style officer. Like anybody can any other officer can talk down to you. First lieutenant, you got some clout.
Yeah.
Dolby could become a captain.
Yeah, or a president of an entire world.
President? Shall we say presidente?
Presidente. El Presidente. Well, or just get overthrown by his own people. That's
just
why,
because. Go on.
That's why Burgess deserves promotion. I don't even have to order him to kill everybody in the room. He just does it.
Here's the thing. Is Dolby actually crazy?
No. I don't
No.
think so.
He's not crazy. So his men, especially someone like Skip Trace, who Dolby may not trust, if Dolby can't trust anybody.
No, he trusts
but it's pretty
Skip.
fucking close.
Even
If
though
Skip Trace is
the last
if Skip Trace is looking at Dolby and saying, hey, look, what you're doing is incorrect. Not wrong.
Mm-hmm.
It's not, you're not seeing straight. I think it makes sense for Dolby to either think about it or have a good reason to reject it.
So like turning Dolby's suit on and shooting out fireworks with a bunch of flags that just pop out, and an arrest warrant for a dictator of another planet was maybe a little too showy.
Maybe.
Blaring anthems.
All right, check this shit out. So before we went on, I posted in all these gamer groups, hey, look, we might be, we need a guest. And someone just responded.
Oh, nice.
It's this woman named Connie, who I play. Actually, it's not into space. It's a game called Propagation that my buddy Patrick runs
Nice.
on Tuesdays on Discord.
Cool.
And she's a veteran gamer. I only know her through the internet. I believe she's out here, but she's like, hey, look, I will totally jump on. Let me get on my computer.
Nice.
So she's ready to rock and roll.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Now it'll take 15 to. Oh, they're already on
That's right.
Discord. Or is that correct?
Yep.
That
Are
is-
you in the Dreadies server already? I'm gonna have to send her a
And-
little link.
I believe that anybody can join the Dreadies server.
No, they gotta have the right link.
Well, they have to, but anybody could join if they have the correct link.
Yes.
I thought.
Yes.
Do you not have the link on the website?
No, I think well, actually maybe.
So anybody who does a little research can join.
No, they can. If you go to the website,
Yeah.
dreadlord.com. Oh God. Sorry, that was some shit. If you go to dreadlord.com, you will find the link. The proper link.
Yeah. Or it will find you.
All right. I'll give you the roll once you
Of
join.
a lifetime.
Okay, she just joined. Boom. Everybody say hi to her in the chat.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello in the chat.
Well, she's not on yet. Okay, so let me give her the roll. And
Rolling. I'm gonna say
Oof.
hello to her. I'm gonna wave. I'm gonna do that little emoji wave that I always do when anybody.
Arbiter. Oh, she is a player arbiter. And then guest star. Sweet.
The
Alrighty.
gatehouse. That's what it is. So
Yeah. I didn't make that. That was Con Head is her name. Okay, so let me get her thing. Swing.
Welcome to her
Shit.
gatehouse.
Fucked up. I fucked up. At Con. Here we are. All right. So she should. Yep, and she's there. No, that's DJ Nuffley.
That's me.
It's you.
I'm in streamer mode, so it's harder to see.
Yeah, I turned mine off. We're in the Geeky.
Slow mode's amazing,
Gamer.
but I'm immune? That's pretty cool. I don't even know what that
Yep.
means.
When you're ready.
What does that mean?
We're on air. What do you mean?
Slow mode.
Slow mode is because you're an admin, you are able to trance people, mute them. Basically, if you make slow mode, it means that they can only like every 10-15 seconds comment. What's
Oh, I
up,
can
Connie?
tell.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
How are
Welcome.
you?
Can you
Doing
give
good
me
today.
Can you give me the proper spelling of your name so I can, or what you want to be called, so I can put it in our graphics?
Sure. Connie. Connie.
Okay. And then I'll also update it on our channel.
Connie Buck Mud, who's one of the chat people, says, hi.
Oh. Let me turn on
Dude.
the camera so y'all can see me.
Yep. Turn that on when you get a chance.
There we go. Hi.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello.
We hear you're a pro
Well,
gamer.
I am a
Yes.
professional at many things. I've never been paid to game.
Oh. Well, I mean, just good at it then.
Oh yeah, well, that I'd like to be. I'd like to think I am.
She's pretty good. She's pretty good. My introduction to you was, holy shit, Connie's gonna come on. And then I said, we are playing in a game on Tuesdays, Propagation, that our mutual buddy, Patrick, is running. And it is the situation, the setting is very similar to a game that we run called Into Space. So it's a similar kind of world. Okay. First, let me introduce you to these people. Connie, here are these people. Hey, these people. Introduce yourself to Connie.
People.
Oh, these people.
Ken, who are you?
My name is Ken Howl. I am a Geeky Gamer podcaster, and you know, into art and film and media, and definitely not into politics at all.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Yeah, nothing happened in politics today. Nothing eventful.
No. Nobody
No.
was served nothing.
Hey, Holker, who are you?
And my name is Daniel Holker, and I am a guest host tonight, and I play and games run by these other people.
Yeah, and Holker is wearing a particular T-shirt.
Ooh.
I saw. It's very similar to this T-shirt.
How strange. What a coincidence.
What a coinkydink.
Are we?
What a coinkydink.
Are we
It's the
advertising
Dreadlord game.
Dreadlord system?
I mean,
for this one.
sometimes. Sometimes we do. Sometimes we
Oh,
do.
very cool.
Like right now,
Uh,
you can go to dreadlord.github.io.
Just go to
/
dreadlord.com. It'll route you to the right place about the domains. Connie, if you don't mind, introduce yourself, please.
Sure. Full name is Constance Chamberlain. Connie's the nickname
Oh.
that people have been calling me since, I started gaming. Grew up on Star Wars D6, Second Ed, D&D. I do a lot of live action interactive things like Renaissance fairs, LARPs, cons, stuff like that. Currently playing in a Dungeons and Dragons game, currently playing in the game with Patrick and a couple of my old friends. So I kind of played a bunch of different systems, usually D6 or 5th Ed is my current go-to. But yeah, I'm one of those nerdy LARP types. I get all dressed up and go in the forest or campgrounds and hit people with foam swords. And
So you do boffer LARPs.
I do boffer LARPs, yeah, mostly.
I see.
I'm just surprised you stuck with it after a Thaco. Almost put me off for good.
Well, it all depends on what system and what people you're around. So not every game is the same rules, not every game has the same setup. So, I mean, there's always different things that you could look at and different ways of hopping into a game and playing. So I actually run a LARP. So it's kind of something that I do. So
it's the 9th level of hell. What does, oh my God, what is a LARP? Connie, what's a LARP?
So LARP stands for live action role play. Instead of a tabletop game where you roll or discuss your actions, you actually have to do them. So if you're doing, say, for example, a fantasy LARP, people will dress up like they're out of Lord of the Rings, makeup, costumes, elaborate weapons, campsites, and there's a game master, much like with tabletops, that kind of directs the story, although you have actual actors playing the NPCs, playing the monsters, and you, through the course of sometimes an evening, sometimes a weekend, you go through the story and you live it. You get to live play the decisions and everything instead of just saying, I roll to attack. You actually have to have some talent with hitting people with a sword.
This is interesting. So you've done boffer LARPs. What is a boffer LARP?
A boffer LARP is generally more action-oriented versus a conversational-oriented game, or what they call Mind's Eye, which is where you just describe what happens. A boffer LARP usually involves safe foam weapons. There's all kinds of weapons out there from different genres. There's science fiction, there's fantasy, there's modern horror. I've seen everything from, like massive swords to lead pipes to rolling pins, frying pans. They make a lot of different things out of foam core, which is called a boffer. And a boffer LARP involves using those, boffers, what they call a generic term for a LARP weapon.
How do wizards or witches hit? How do they strike?
Now, the elephant in the room is
lightning bolt.
Because I just know the lightning bolt. That's kind of what I know. Lightning bolt, but it's like it's like magic missile always hits or something. Is that correct?
Not necessarily. It depends on the rules of the game and what they look for and what kind of setting you're in. Most games you require an actual contact, so they throw Nerf balls, or little packets of birdseed that are usually color coded. So if you're throwing a fireball, you throw a red one. If you're throwing an ice spell, you throw a blue one. And you would describe what happens when you make that attack and if it lands. Like, I hit you for 3 points fire damage. Much like you would in a tabletop game. There's set amounts for each thing. So it's not like there's a randomized damage. The damage is usually set depending on what it is that you're casting and how you cast it. Mm-hmm. It's a lot of fun.
So like when you take enough damage, you have to actually rip up your character sheet, right?
Yeah, no. You just fall down and play unconscious or dead, depending on how much damage you took.
Okay, so boffer LARPs. First of all, boffer is a silly sounding word.
Yes.
And just LARPing in general has got a bad rap. I mean, there's a movie with Peter Dinklage, right?
Knights of Badassdom, I think it is.
Yeah, there you go.
It's great.
Yeah,
I enjoyed that movie.
It's a great movie, but it's also this idea of like, I mean, it's sort of Renfaire, right? So Rennies, and Rennies are kind of like carnies, and you got geeks come in.
I am a Rennie,
and they're throwing all this. Tell us about this in a way that makes it make sense. Because I think to the average person, they're like, what the fuck is a LARP? Like, even the word LARP is like, what? Well, you don't game, you're in a LARP. Tell us about it.
Have you ever wanted to be the main character in a movie?
No.
Okay, well then LARPing isn't for you.
I never wanted to be.
So that's the whole point, is that you are the story. It's not just a story that you're telling or watching, you're participating, you're living. Your choices have consequences and help shape the events that follow. And so if you're into storytelling, or if you're a creative kind of person and you want that extra level of immersion, you want that extra level of interactivity, that's what I would recommend. If you're into that, LARPing may be a fun avenue for it.
What does LARP stand for?
Live action role play.
So
one other requirement.
It depends.
No, I think there's one other thing that would make LARPing very especially suited to you. And that is to actually show up when there's a big story point in the story that the storytellers might have had in mind for your character that you would be really good for.
Shut your mouth.
It might be a good idea to just show up that night.
Listen, it is perfectly fine for people to not show up, okay, and break the rules and the story and cheat. It's perfectly fine.
So that actually leads into the question that I have, which is a legitimate question. What do you do when aliens or like space marines like show up and like, futuristic? Do people get shocked by it? Do they have their own set of D&D if they have like a fake auto weapon or something like that? Or do they just get ignored?
Well, LARPs are usually private run, right? You're not going to see the more high-end elaborate games in the middle of a park. You'll find it on a campsite, on a private rented house. But if somebody does show up, usually they're welcomed regardless of what they're wearing, unless it's very genre breaking. Like if you're doing a Lord of the Rings style and the Space Marines show up, you probably want to pull them aside and have a nice little discussion saying, hey, that doesn't quite fit. That's breaking the immersion. I happen to run a game in a very popular science fiction franchise that I won't mention. Because I don't want to get sued by a certain large organization.
Oh, you don't want to get sued, right?
Yeah, I'm trying to keep it on the down low. But we've actually had park rangers show up and ask us about our weapons, which are usually Nerf guns. If I have a friend that does airsoft LARP. I've done airsoft LARP. I got pinged right here, right above my goggles, and it was very painful.
Sure.
Oh yeah, no, airsoft is intense.
Yeah.
One of our perpetual players into space, as well as the Red Rit. The Red Rit. There you go. Thank you. Lady named Andrea is all about some airsoft. Has a ghillie suit.
Mm-hmm.
Has the sniper rifle. Like, she goes deep in the paint on the airsoft.
Into
LARPs.
space!
So
Sorry.
don't be sorry. It's good. Holker and I may have, at one point in time, maybe, allegedly, run a vampire LARP.
I have done that. I've played vampire LARPs.
That's actually the only thing. The only other thing that I did there's a LARP that started a couple years ago, called, I think, River City LARP, run by TJ Phoenix. It's in Louisville. So it's in Kentucky. It's in Kentucky.
Yeah, I'm a West Coaster.
So in the event, you guys are on Facebook and TJ Phoenix, I think it's River City LARP. They do a really good stuff. And at the time, I was performing with this live steel Viking group called Ulfheden, or Ulfheden. They're actually at the Kentucky Renaissance Fair in Eminence, Kentucky right now. They're about to start. I am plugging the shit out of them. We came in as the bad guys to this boffer LARP. And it's a bunch of martial arts people, okay, that are in Ulfheden. Like they're stage combat trained, they're martial arts trained, like they actually know their shit. And we're supposed to be the bad guys. By the way, I'm not one of those people. I'm just like a ha, ha ha, and I point and laugh. They all roll in, and it was a completely different way of thinking, because you're in the boffer LARP, and people come at you with their swords, and I would see these martial artists just be like, clang, clang, whack. And they had to pull us aside and say, hey, look, these are the rules, right? And so then Ulfheden and all those guys are like, oh, right, we're playing this game. It's not like combat. And then it was really, really good. I think there's a mind space for, if I'm going into a boffer LARP, is it all about me being a swordsman and how good I am at a sword and fencing? Or is it something else? Like, how do you approach that?
Well, that's a great question, because every game has its own rule set and its own mindset, right? So some games are more physically driven. If you want to do it, you have to physically be able to do it. Like if you want to parry, you actually have to parry somebody's blow.
Right.
There are other games that sometimes they're a little more forgiving, where if you want to parry someone's blow, you'd have to have a parry skill statted on your character sheet. And if you get hit, you can call a parry, and it's the same as if you physically parried it. Now, personally, I don't really like those games. I like the if you do it, you do it. But that's just the kind of environment that I was familiar. My first LARPs were more of those if you want to do it, you have to do it. But the skill-based LARPs are a little more forgiving, especially for newer gamers, people that aren't martial artists, people that have health or physical issues. It allows them to play their character without having to be as physically adept as their character might be. Like somebody may have an 18 strength on their character sheet, but in reality, they only have like a 12. But they can still reflect that by doing different skills and different actions that use their strength stat as opposed to their physical strength. So they're not going to make you like physically carry a boulder. They'll give you a lightweight foam boulder, and then you can carry that. And there's the simulation of the action.
So one of the things that happened in the vampire LARP quite a bit, anybody that's playing a vampire, if they've been playing for a while, then they're probably playing like the ugly Nosferatu, or very mind whatever guy. But a lot of people, most people, they're playing the elfy, super beautiful, flowing, just amazing hair that flows down their bodies. It's thick hair that
Corridors.
And they're not 5'9", they're like 6'6", towering individual. Let's say I wanted to play that guy. I am 6'6", towering, and my hair is like anime style, like flowing in the wind. That's not me though. So
get a wig.
So get a wig. But how do I get 6'6"? Am I wearing stilts? Like, what's
You
going
could,
on?
if you wanted to change your body, you could wear lifts in your shoes. You could wear a wig, makeup. Very popular elf ears. That's the most common thing you see are people wearing cosmetic ears. I know a woman who played a guy and had a muscle suit built with tattoos. And
that's
she
cool.
did facial hair and a wig. And she played a Viking warrior that looked like a dude. And most people were very positive reaction to that because they put the time and the effort to change their physical appearance. And not everybody can, right? I mean, I'm not going to play, like, I'm no Liv Tyler. I'm not going to play the most beautiful elven princess. But I have done makeup, put dots all over my face. I've put ears, I've put wigs. I've done eye contacts to make my eyes bright blue. If you wanted to change your physical appearance, there are ways to do that cosmetically.
I guess what I'm asking is, in a LARP, so some of it, so it's not mind's eye theater, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's
what
not mind's
you
eye
see
theater.
is what you get. Yeah.
It's what you, it's WYSIWYG. What you see is what you get.
Mm-hmm.
So okay, is it a faux pas or is it not a faux pas for me to roll into a LARP, a boffer LARP, and be like, yo, what you see is not what you get. I want you all to imagine that I'm this other thing. I'm a dragon or whatever it is. Is that okay? Do I have like a name tag
black
that says
shirt
I'm
and
a
black
dragon?
pants with like a little scales painted on your forehead?
Yeah, you have to make some attempt at it to not break immersion.
So you have to make an attempt at it.
It depends on the game, though. I mean, every game is different. There was a game in Florida for a while called Solar, and the monsters would sometimes wear something that says monster across it. And you'd say, what do I see? And they'd say, you see a goblin. Or in some cases, it's like the NPCs generally wear black, like stagehands, and throw costume pieces on top of it. But say, for example, if you wanted to say, hey, I just rolled in and I've got the shit kicked out of me, I'm covered in blood, you would just say, by the way, there's different hand signals or different code words that say this is what you see. Like for Sooth, I'm covered in blood.
I see.
Or crossed fingers or little hands gestures. Everybody uses different indicators to say, okay, I'm not physically portraying this thing. I'm not going to throw blood all over my really expensive costume, but I want you to imagine that I am. And the whole thing is your imagination. So we try to enhance that with the physicality as much as possible in the immersion. I know that's like the big keyword, especially if you watch that 4-hour video about the failed Disney hotel, the whole immersion of.
Oh no, I haven't seen this. What is it?
Oh, did you hear about the LARP hotel that Disney tried to run in Florida? It was themed Star Wars. And for about $5,000, you too could spend 2 nights in this exciting luxury hotel where you could live your Star Wars adventure. And they had characters playing different aliens, like the captain of the ship, a singer, smugglers, engineers. Whoa. They had Chewbacca. They had Rey and Kylo Ren doing a choreographed sword fight.
Was it better than the movie?
I have very strong feelings on the last 3 films, so.
You're
I have no feelings on the last 3 films.
I want to vent about those.
I have no feelings whatsoever.
Terrible 3 movies they call it that Disney produced. But they tried to do a LARP hotel where the guest was able to insert themselves into the story. And it was very immersive in the regards that you were physically in a spaceship with windows that looked out onto space and aliens and different activities. And it failed miserably for very many reasons. There's a great 4-hour video, I forget who it's by, Jenny something or other, that just goes into great depth and detail about how Disney tried to do this gaming experience and just failed because they didn't understand. One, it's way too expensive. $5,000 for 2 nights.
That's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money. Also, the time period was not the most popular, as we've all kind of groused. And it relied on a technology that wasn't fully functional. It was using your app to interact with the quests and the non-player characters, the NPC actors, and it didn't work right in many cases. So that
I feel for the actors that
Yeah.
went through all of that to give everyone that experience, and it just didn't work out.
Yeah.
I don't know,
Non-player
they laid off, or-
characters. Yeah, they all got laid off from what I understand. Which really sucks because they looked great. They had the makeup, they
there-
had the character stories, everything.
Isn't there in one of the Disneys? I think they have like a Star Wars area where people can dress up like Star Wars things.
Yeah,
I mean, they
Disney
wonder-
They
California
just
and
pivoted.
Florida. Both.
That's all you do is you pivot in the gig economy.
You pivot.
yeah.
Pivot.
Just pivot.
They've been selling
Just
off
pivot.
the stuff from this hotel at the parks. So
I
the
wonder
stuff-
if
souvenirs are on sale now.
I wonder if someone who's like a really good LARPer rolls in and creates this amazing storyline, right, in the game, and then it shows up in the next movie.
Then
Wouldn't put it past them.
yeah, they're not. They're not. That's not how they write these things.
Yeah.
they write by committee.
Yeah.
Which is
care.
probably
I
part
have
of
a
the
friend.
problem.
I have a few friends that are actually in the WGA, and they are they don't like me. They're like, oh, I'd love to introduce you to this writer friend of mine, and they won't do it. They won't meet anybody who's a writer to talk about it, anything, because they're concerned about
Fear of theft. Yeah.
yeah, they're concerned about not that they're going to steal anything from them as somebody in the Writers Guild of America.
They're concerned they're going to get sued for taking someone else's idea.
but taking somebody else's idea, yeah, for sure.
That's what I meant. Yeah. That's
yeah.
yeah. No, it's part of why I won't say what LARP I run.
Yeah. But I think if you're not involved with Hasbro and Dungeons and Dragons,
Mhm.
and if you're not making any money,
Yeah.
you don't have anything to worry about.
Yeah. There's different genres. I've
if you're
played in Star
charging
Wars.
$100
Yeah, if you're charging.
a head or $500 a head to join your LARP, that is like Disney princess themed or space Star Wars
Space
themed
Wizards.
or
Mhm.
or anything that might be a different story. But I
Yeah.
think if you're not charging, that there's a thing called what is it? Comedy.
Parody.
It's parody. That's it. There's a thing called parody, and you're allowed to parody anything
Mhm.
at all. So you're probably safe if you wanted to mention it, but you don't have to. This is
Well,
your
it is
gotcha moment.
it is sci-fi based, and a very popular franchise that we've already mentioned a couple times.
So I'm guessing it's not Stargate Atlantis. That was my first.
No,
I was
no,
kind of
that would be
hoping
cool. That would be cool.
that there was a Stargate Atlantis LARP out there. I mean, I bet there is. I mean, Jason Momoa, the other people that are in it. Dean.
I've never seen it.
Dean Stockwell.
Yeah.
I think Claudia Black was on there.
Claudia Black
God, I love Claudia
was
Black.
in probably an episode or two because that was a long, like the end.
So I have a question.
Sure.
So when you're running a LARP,
Mhm.
how long does it normally last? In other words, how many sessions does the story unfold until you tell everyone, screw this, come back with new characters, I'm tired. We're going to do something new.
That all depends. There were some games that lasted decades. There was other games that have an arc that plans 1 to 2 years. It all depends on the story runners.
That's a long time for a LARP.
It can be, but you only play a couple times a year.
Oh, well,
Right.
that's different.
Yeah. Now, most of the big blockbuster LARPs only run once a year. Most boffer LARPs run every couple months, maybe once a month, maybe once every 2 to 3 months or less. So these stories can stretch out depending on the nature of the story. Some are one shots, one and done, play for a weekend, and then you retire those characters. Others take years.
Do you have a DM or a GM or an arbiter
Mhm.
that is not in costume or is in costume that tells the
Yeah.
story? Is that do they kind of have like a little megaphone? Are they also a judge? Like, oh, you're down.
Oh, they
A
can be.
referee?
There's usually referees that are assistants to the GM. The GM can be anywhere from playing a character in a particular scene. They could be out of costume and, just whatever that indicates they're the GM, so you know who they are. They may be doing rules arbitration. They may just be doing storytelling or narration. It all varies. There's no one way to LARP. Games I've been playing, I play in a Wild Weird West as a ghost. I've played in one where I was the Vampire Queen of New Orleans. I played in one where I was an itinerant bard. And I played one where I was a Scottish princess. Yeah, I'm actually a professional singer, so I did
really?
sing.
Nice. Do you mind telling us some of the stuff you've kind of sung in? Some of the stuff you like singing in?
Yeah, I was in an Irish folk rock band.
Okay.
Worked at a Renaissance fair, and I've recorded sea shanties, usually like 19th century, 18th century music. I wrote a song all about the beauty of boobs, which is a very popular song at the Renaissance fair in California.
You said boobs?
Boobs. Mm-hmm.
Okay, good.
Yeah, it's a very popular number.
Yeah, I mean, I think boobs are relatively popular.
Oh yeah,
Among
it's like my crowning achievement. Yeah, most people seem to enjoy them. Yeah, so playing a bard is kind of second nature. It's kind of a stereotype joke with me that I play musicians. But yeah, I've played characters, a whole gamut of characters, depending on the storyline, the game, the location of the story. So yeah, it all varies.
Do people have a specific background? Are they actors, or are they lawyers? Are they,
I will say in the LARP that Will and I ran, it was we had at least one guy who was who probably should have been a professional actor. He never was, but he was really big in community theater, and we were always so happy to have him participate because he was always in character. He always stayed in character. And he was also just a very big character in the room, whatever room he was in, right? And it was always so much fun. So I don't know if are you in Southern California or?
Yeah, I'm in LA.
I'm
guessing there's a few actors or people who have that background.
It runs the gamut: professional actors, lawyers, nurses.
Connie, you're in a LARP. You run a LARP in Los Angeles?
Yeah.
I'm in Los Angeles.
That's right. You should come play with us.
Where in Los Angeles-ish is this LARP?
We usually play in northwest LA, not Orange County, Ventura County.
Oh, Ventura.
Yeah, Ventura, LA, like the northern border of LA is usually where we run.
I'm in the valley.
Oh.
Were you there when that earthquake hit?
No, my husband was here when the Northridge earthquake hit, but I lived further south at the time. Yeah. Okay. That's actually funny. We're probably closer to each other than we've ever realized. Yeah. So Will and I should go hang out.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's pretty deep in the valley. I lived in West Hollywood mostly, Fairfax area. I like that place. I was there for about 15 years, and
until the summer when it gets like 105 degrees every day.
I didn't ever go to the valley. I don't know how people can live up there. I have a real problem with heat. Shot a movie in Phoenix once. It melted my camera.
Oh my god.
I was sad. I did. I mean, I don't typically say this because I'm not a big weed person, but it was a film. I smoked weed with Peter Fonda. He was like the star of the film. Cool. So that was like the biggest. Like I don't do that stuff, but like
you do that stuff.
It's a brag.
You don't do it, but you do it.
It's a brag on like when Peter Fonda's like, here you go. It's like, what do? You just
Yeah. Gonna go with
You
it.
smoke it.
and
That's what you do.
he had a poetry reading on the beach that he would do. They had a group of people and they would do readings on the beach, and I always thought that was kind of neat. Like they would read Poe or any number of things based on that. That was a big reveal. I had a different reveal if our other guest was here that I was gonna say, but I'm not gonna reveal that this episode.
Save that for another day.
Save that for another day.
So, okay, I should probably roll into this boffer LARP. The thing is that I wear all black and I don't have much costume stuff. I've gone to the Renfaire out here, the fantasy Renfaire thing. I'm talking about. I don't know where it is. My girlfriend was like, "We're going to a Renfaire," and we went there. And then I talked to some people, some of my gaming buddies, and they were like, "You realize that's like the Renfaire, right?"
Yeah, the one in
like,
Irwindale, the big one. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, "What do you mean it's the Renfaire?" They're like, "It's the Renfaire." I was like, "Oh, it was cool." We went to the naughty, sexy bar where they like serve you beer, and they're like, put your hands behind your back, get on your knees, that kind of shit.
Yeah, the oubliette. Yeah, I used to work at that show, so.
Oh, you did?
Yes. Like I said, I was a Rennie, so.
So, being a Rennie and now into LARP, it's like LARPing is like the 13th level of hell of gaming. I mean, like it's down there with Asmodeus, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It requires a certain level of nerddom, like hardcore nerddom to.
You gotta be in it.
Yeah.
You gotta be in it.
Yeah.
So it's like Renfaire, but with rules.
And a story.
Do you have any arbiters or storytellers, STs?
Yes.
And how do I become one?
Well, again, it depends on the genre and it depends on the game and the people running it. But there's always a need for staff, right? People that handle logistics, like renting the campsite or keeping track of character sheets or character XP spends, or just writing the story and coming up with the different parts of the adventure. We called it an order of death. In which we would write out the script and like, okay, here's the first part of the story, here's what happens here, here's what happens there. Some games are more modular where they come up with separate little adventure blocks and they plug them in as things go. If you want, there's actually a game running in June. Some friends of mine I could introduce you. You should. You could NPC, you could help out, just get a feel for it.
I'm a big asshole, of course, but
it's okay. It's set in the Weird West, so there's always room for assholes.
No, good. I'm into that asshole.
Oh.
But yeah, we'll talk. I'll set you up with that game and see if you're
Holker and I. So we ran a vampire LARP back in Kentucky, and it was very successful for what it was. It came about because. Let me edit my speech really quick. Aside, since I have ADHD, Connie, when you don't like someone a lot, how do you talk about them when they are an integral part of the story?
That's a good question. You have to keep in mind that some LARPs are open attendance and others are private attendance.
Yeah.
So if you are an open attendance game, everyone is welcome. You don't really want to exclude anyone unless they're like bad actor, as in bad faith, bad person, that kind of missing stare, that whole thing. Yeah. That's another story. But you have to keep in mind that, especially if you're charging admission, you should give everyone the same experience, regardless of their personality.
Right.
And it's no different than working with someone that you don't like at work. You make sure that you're polite, professional, and you give them what they're entitled to or what they've paid for. But you don't really have to go out of your way to add those little extra special details for them because
now,
they're not.
What if they're one of the 3 people that are running the LARP?
Then you generally don't play anymore. The LARP can break up rather easily if people aren't getting along with each other, because you have to have good communication.
We got through it. With copious amounts of Evan Williams. So
you didn't drink Evan Williams then. You don't lie.
At the time we were LARPing. So one of our friends at the time knew a bunch of LARP people and was asked by the masses to run a LARP.
Mm-hmm.
But this person is not particularly amazing at storytelling.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason I would posit is this person wanted to play, did not want to run.
Mm.
Okay, so that was always the sort of issue. So they asked me, the co-creator of Dreadlore, and Holker. Actually, technically, our buddy Cameron was involved for a minute, but he was more of an NPC. Regardless,
mm-hmm.
Holker, basically, we had this idea. They were like, let's make a LARP, a vampire LARP. And, great intentions, but who cares? Like, that's not going to go anywhere. Holker comes up to me and he says, hey, look, I've got an idea for a vampire LARP. Holker, do you remember what your idea was?
I think so. Is it how you? Huh?
It was the New Orleans LARP.
That wasn't my idea.
Yes, it was your idea.
It was?
Yes, it was. Specifically with the resource.
Yeah. So I think my idea was to use something like Google Earth to sort of map out resources and to also keep track of where, say, everyone's location was in the game, and if they sent in downtime actions of where they would go to a place. If it was near another place, you might roll to see if, say, another player kind of picks up on information regarding what the other person was wanting to do.
So it was grounded in more of like a reality. Like, oh, I just go over to the place and it's like, that's 4 hours away, right? When you have the actual map, you're like, oh shit, I've got to cross a river. That kind of thing. The main thing, and Holker will remember it when I say it, it was actually a conversation we had, like, I think I was dropping him off or something. And he was like, what about a vampire LARP? We'd been to several at this time, and some of them were good, some of them were really, really, really not good. And he goes, so check it out. He does not talk this way. Holker does not talk this way. This is paraphrasing. He says, check it out, man. He doesn't say that. What if we ran a LARP where the main thing, the main plot, right? The main impetus of the game wasn't some we want to be prince or king or whatever, territory, none of that. What if the main premise was blood? Which sounds obvious, and yet if you go to a vampire LARP, it isn't. It's the last fucking thing. It's like, oh, you come in, what's your blood pool? And you get your little tickets and you go and do your super vampire powers. Holker had this idea. What if we start with blood? That is the currency. That's not your allies. It's not your strength score. What is your blood? And so then you have this Google Earth map that shows where's the blood. That's why you want the territory. That's why you decide literally everything you do.
And it's also geocaching.
And it was brilliant. Because the moment he said it, I was like, holy shit. I talked to this person and this other person, neither of whom I'm friends with anymore.
It's kind of like having a zombie LARP and not having any brains.
Yeah.
to eat.
Well, that's the thing. People are like, oh, vampires are pretty, or they're powerful, or they live forever. No, vampires are cursed. But when you play vampire LARPs, you don't feel cursed.
Mm-hmm.
It's because you got to have something you need.
And is this
There's
at
got to be
night?
an impetus.
Or like
normally
it seems like you would need to have a timer saying when day and night happen. Oh, everybody, you got like 5 minutes before you got to get back to your coffin because you'll sparkle in the sunlight if you don't.
So how do you deal with that in your LARPs? Like, Boffer LARPs are different. I know you. I think you mentioned you've done vampire LARPs.
Mm-hmm.
How do you keep it grounded in not just these are the rules, you fucking geeks, like pay attention, but like, what's the atmosphere? What's the mindset? How do you keep that?
That's part of the immersion, and the players are a key part of that. How much do the players devote themselves, their costuming, their acting, their props, to that theme? There's games where people are playing vampires that can't go out in the sunlight, so they'll carry parasols, or they'll stick to the shady parts, or they'll basically just stay in one place until nighttime or sun covers. So it all depends on the level of the immersion. Some games will give you could stay out in the sunlight for 5 minutes at most, and then you start to take damage points, or you start to lose your blood pool. Some games require that you actually feed on someone during the game in order to restore your hit points, to restore your feeding. There's, again, downtimes are the same thing, where it's like, did you feed during your downtime? Did you feed during your game? It's so hard to quantify any one LARP because each one is unique and different to itself.
What I would really like to see.
Are there
So-
victims?
Go on.
Like the people playing the victims and such LARPs?
Yeah, they're usually non-player characters, NPCs. Or they're friends of the vampire, and they have an arrangement for that kind of thing.
Are you talking about ghouls, or are you talking about?
Usually ghouls, yeah.
Yeah. So they're humans that get fed off of, but they get superpowers too.
Yeah, or they get, some kind of political or social protection from the vampires.
Like a Renfield.
Yeah, the kind of a Renfield thing, yeah. But again,
So-
that all depends on the game and what the game's theme and overarching message is.
So I think it'd be really interesting. I think it would be interesting at least to have a game, not an alliance. Oh my God. Do you know what I'm talking about when I say alliance?
No.
It's where you take the world of darkness, all of the different settings, and you put them all together.
Oh, I've played those, yeah.
I don't like them. I don't like them. But regardless, actually, do you like them? Have you had a good time in them? Do you dislike them? What?
It depends. Again, it's all based on your players. If you've got some players that are like, I want to play this really rare thing that no one has ever done, and I want to be the special snowflake, I want the game to revolve around me, then it gets a little frustrating because some people go outside of the genre or go outside of the general accepted.
Right.
But I like
the one
Sorry,
person who's a
I do take issue. I think
Yeah.
all snowflakes are special.
That's true. They are unique and individual in their own way.
Right. Yeah, the one person who
the
does.
one person that wants to play Fae the Changeling, and everyone else is playing Vampire and Werewolf,
Yeah.
So I think it'd be real interesting to have a game where, and I'm sort of outing myself. This is the next stage of my Monday night game with these guys. The Red Writ.
The Red Writ.
Where they're monster hunters, basically.
Mhm.
And everybody's pretty much a human.
Mhm.
But every so often you encounter not necessarily NPCs. Of course, NPCs can be anybody, but PCs who are something else.
Mhm.
And it's not like, oh, everyone played a smuggler and I'm the Jedi. I'm not talking about that, right? So the overpowered PC. I don't mean that. Like being able to fashion a story where, kind of like Penny Dreadful, although everyone's sort of a monster in that, where you all have your unique whatever, because you're player characters, you're heroes, but you can kind of throw in the fantasy here and there. The question is, what are you doing? Why are you doing it? And what do you get from it? So, when you do your LARPs, where are you doing it? Why are you doing it? And what do you get from it?
The where is usually campground, or there's one-offs at somebody's house. The where depends on the story. It can be in a palace, and the people will decorate and make everything feel elaborate. It could be you're on a campsite, you're in the forest, and you set up your camp like you do in D&D. So the where is always different depending on the story and the nature of it. What I get out of it is the chance to tell a story with people I like that I may not, like you said, your friend wanted to be a player more than a GM.
Right.
I like doing both.
Former friend.
Former friend, your prior acquaintance.
Yeah.
I like being able to tell the story without knowing the entire story. I like contributing to that collective fiction and not knowing exactly where it's going to go next. That element of surprise, that element of, like when you're watching a really good movie with twists and turns and something comes out of left field and you're like, I didn't see that coming. That's amazing. That's what I like most is the stuff that helps me tell a story, and more than just tell it, live it. Just as an example, the best LARP moment I've ever had was in a fantasy-based game where I was playing a rogue/bard, and we had Bark Road, yeah, one devious person, and we had gone to meet with a war council to prepare against the armies of the invading Monster King, and so we had all different sorts of characters from different wakes of life, different countries, and it was hosted by an order of paladin. And while we're in the middle of this meeting, and we hiked through this campsite to a really secluded little area where they had set up a pavilion tent with maps and fake candles and the entire thing. So you felt like you were in that scene. And in the middle of this, we hear this horrible, dreadful roar. And we're like, and then we hear combat coming from the main camp. So we all have to scurry back. And there's one of the paladin who is smoking. They used a dry ice effect, and he's just like lying there in a pool of his own blood. He's wearing a completely ripped and torn, bloody armor. And
because you can't smoke in the
it depends.
Up there in the desert. Well, you can't because it's so dry, and
it's so dry. Yeah, most places have anti-fire rules, but they were just using dry ice. So
it's good.
But he's lying there in this bloody heap, and we're like, we need to get him somewhere safe to see if the healers can save him if he's not too far gone. And I pick up his sword so that I can help move the body. I did not know the sword was cursed.
Oh.
Now, this rogue/bard is now cursed with a dragon bone sword to never lie.
Oh, no.
So I had to rethink the way I said things and the way my character was played to reflect that I was now under a geas. And the whole point of that game was that there was a dragon that had been summoned, and we're like, how are they going to do a dragon in a LARP? It's going to be a puppet. It's going to be somebody with like a little thing or in a costume. They actually made a 4 to 5 foot tall puppet with a 8 foot wingspan that required 3 puppeteers to operate. And there's this moment where we're readying ourselves, and we hadn't seen that puppet yet. And we're just going, okay, we're going to fight a dragon. What are we going to do? How are they going to make this look right? How are we going to visualize it? Is it going to be all in our heads? Or are they going to have somebody doing the dragon? And it comes out and it just opens its wings. And all of us just kind of froze.
Wow.
We had that moment of, oh my God, it's a dragon. And it was like a reaction on both a character and a player level, where the character brain is going, oh my God, I have to fight a dragon. And the player brain is going, oh my God, I get to fight a dragon. And
that is cool.
It was pretty cool because the dragon like realized I had the sword that could hurt it the most because I had the magic weapon, so it gunned for me, and I'm like,
And it
oh.
was like, "Do you have the sword that can fuck me up?" And you're like, "Yes."
Yes,
Yeah,
I
it
have
was
the
great.
cursed sword that makes me tell the truth.
Yes. So it was that I didn't have any idea about the storyline. I went in thinking Monster King army,
Right.
and I ended up becoming a dragon slayer.
That's cool.
So you were what was it, a rogue bard
Mhm.
gangster,
That's
Mhm.
right.
like
That's right.
notorious RBG.
They actually offered me a position as one of the paladin. They asked if I wanted to join the order, and I'm like, nope. Take the sword, uncurse
Nope.
me. I like lying.
Like you have the sword, you're like, I would use these powers for my own gain. Shit.
Pretty much, yeah.
Megan,
That's why I LARP. So
Megan, who is one of the Patreon peoples, says, "Oh, the LARP." She ran a game like this when she first moved. She's also out in LA. Called it Scarcity. Scarcity.
Oh, Scare City. Okay, so a horror theme.
Or Scarcity. I'm assuming it's horror theme. All right, Connie, tell us a little bit about the game that we're playing in right now, because it's very close to Into Space.
So it is kind of like the Stellar Age is kind of like The Expanse. If you ever read those books or watched that show, it's kind of grounded more in science fiction than fantasy. And it has a little bit of a Firefly feel to it, with the kind of Western people trying to just survive on the fringe of space, and keep one step ahead of the evil conglomerate corporations and the evil government that wants everybody dead. Framed for a crime they didn't commit in the old A-Team fashion. And I've missed the last couple sessions, and I feel really bad about that, because I've had other things going on.
Don't feel bad about it.
But it's been a lot of fun. It's good storytelling. We've got a good crew of people with a different mix of backgrounds. I think the one theme we all have in common is that, F the man.
Oh, wow. Well, that's kind of the opposite of what we play. We love the man.
Yeah.
Are you the man?
I feel like I am the man. And Hulker is also the man. We are the men.
You're the men. In the Stellar Age, basically we're playing like dissidents, right? Into Space, they're playing the Space Marines of the Sol System Authority.
Okay.
We're basically Starship Troopers.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like they're coming in like they've been told that we eat babies and are the worst people ever, and destroy society. So they just roll in, moonbeams ablazing, like rocking and rolling. It's awesome.
Sounds like fun. Are
there levels and ranks? Can you get a XP based off of what you do in LARPing and stuff like that? I wanted to ask that before we got too far away from that.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. Again, it depends on the system. Most games reward you for attendance. Right. So if you make the game, your character gets 5 experience points to spend on whatever skills or stats or abilities. Some games just kind of have a cap where everyone's kind of on the same level playing field. So that if you have, say, for example, you miss a game or you're not able to pay for the game that month, you're still on the same level playing field as everybody else.
Is it
so
a
that most of the games are pay to play. Most games require a fee to play to help cover campsite costs, insurance, help pay for the props, the sets.
What's the range?
Oh, it always varies. The game that I'm playing in called Undying usually charges $60 to $75, depending.
A game.
Depending on the site. A game, yeah.
Yeah, but
I've played in
like
blockbuster LARPs that cost like $700 for a weekend.
Oh, wow.
That included room and board.
Yeah.
That included room and board. So
yeah, room and board. That's a lot. That's less than a weekend at an Airbnb.
Yeah. So the prices all vary. Some games, like the game that I run, I don't charge for it. So anybody that wants to come and join me in my little game, we don't charge you, because it's more like friends running an event for friends versus something for profit.
Right.
And most LARPs don't turn a profit. You don't.
I was gonna say, do you turn much of a profit on it?
No, we lose money every game just because we spend out of pocket to make things look cool, come
Right.
up with new toys to play with, new stories, new props, new costumes.
So that's a question.
Just like we lose money every podcast that we make. Even though we allegedly break even, we still lose money.
Mm-hmm.
We allegedly break even.
Allegedly.
Yeah, I still need to. You know, the thing is, we do the Twitch thing.
Mm-hmm.
Not on this. On GGP, it's all YouTube because we're trying to build that channel, and eventually we'll move over to the actual Geeky Gamer Podcast YouTube channel. We just haven't done that yet. But on Mondays we do a Twitch stream on Dreadlore,
Mm-hmm.
and you know it technically makes money, about $50 a year. You know, so it's like you got 5 players plus an arbiter, game master.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so when do you do a payout? Like, hey, here's your $8. You know, and the question is, you can give someone $8, or you can say, okay, well, let's take that $50 and put it into some kind of promotion for the podcast. You know, paying for the pod match stuff that we do to get guests and blah 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 blah.
You haven't given me any money because I said.
Or you talk to Hulker and you get him to do all the work for free. Oh wait, it's not for free.
No, you got to pay to play. That's the way it works.
I said, let it ride.
Connie. So right now I'm trying to promote the Dreadlore core book, which Hulker has.
I have it.
As well as Ken.
And anybody who has the internet can have it for free, the online version.
They can't have it for free. It's $5 now, baby.
Is it $5 now? Oh,
actually,
so
I think
it's gone up.
That's a great price.
It's gone up.
Yeah, it's gone up
exponentially. But it was free for a little while.
It's not really exponential. It's 0.
It has an index.
It got a big old index. I'm trying to promote that. I'm trying to promote the short stories that I'm writing for it, and then I'm getting other people to write for it. The artwork that's in it, as limited and unlimited editions, as well as the originals, at conventions, specifically Comic-Cons. Do you have any suggestions for Comic-Cons to go to attend? I've looked at San Diego. I've looked at LA Con, although they're pretty expensive to get into right now. And most of them, if you don't sign up soon. So I'm looking for smaller cons in and around Los Angeles. Do you have any ideas? What's a good one to go to?
Lost Con is a good one.
LOS. That's in December, yeah.
Yeah, that's a good smaller press con. There's gamer cons. What's the big one? Oh gosh, Games X. I'm blanking. But yeah, smaller cons are your best starting place, because the big ones like San Diego, the big anime cons,
just expensive.
They're expensive.
Really?
And
yes,
and you might be able to get if you go in the guise of being press. They'll give you press passes and stuff like that. I do that with I used to run a bluegrass music show, and so I would be able to go to all these different bluegrass music festivals around, because I did a TV show that was bluegrass music, and so they were like, oh please, and eventually it was just like, come to our show so we can highlight you. I still get materials from this stuff all the time, and I haven't done it for 10 years.
Strategicon. That's the other one I'm thinking of.
Oh, Strategicon.
That's a good gaming con to start off with. And then talk to them about running a free game. Like not only do you have a press table where you'll have examples of things, get some cosplayers, somebody playing characters from your world, or just people in really cool looking costumes to catch the eye, and run a game, run a table and demonstrate the rules in the world and get people involved that way.
And then for GGP, just roll in. I need a cool T-shirt with the GGP logo.
Yeah, go for a press pass. Try
wait,
it.
we have one of those. We do have that.
You do have a T-shirt.
Oh yes, indeed. T-shirt with the GGP logo. Press pass. Get into these cons and talk about, come on our podcast.
Exactly.
Ken, get out to Los Angeles. Let's hang out.
Yeah,
I'm actually going to an anime con this weekend. So.
Oh, nice.
Oh yeah. Where is it?
Riverside.
It is Anime Expo, yeah.
Anime Riverside is the title. Anime Expo is its own thing.
Is Riverside? That's past Pasadena, right?
Yeah, it's west of here, east of here. Riverside's to the east of LA.
Yeah, I've looked at all those. I just started looking about 2 weeks ago and was like, ah, shit, they're all,
They're all probably booked at this point.
Yeah, people get on that real fast.
Sure.
So it'll probably be a next year thing.
Yeah.
Maybe media would be cool. That's an angle I hadn't even thought about. Hitting up I will interview you about your whatever.
Yep. That's the way to do it.
How to do it.
I've done that. I've done that. We got into Sundance doing that. We got into South by Southwest. You got to go in as press because you don't have to pay anything.
So let's say you go in as press. What equipment are you bringing in with you?
Well, you gotta bring your credentials. You gotta sell it for the first thing. I don't know.
So what does that mean?
I think if we can enhance our viewer base and show that we're advertising, not advertising, but having good conversations about the whatever it is, the geekiness. If we can tighten our show and kind of get our views up, you could bring an iPhone, maybe an iPhone 6 or 7.
I've got an iPhone SE, baby.
Oh, an iPhone SE. I mean,
2022.
Yeah,
that's right. It's Generation 3, motherfucker.
I got an iPhone 12 that I take places.
Listen. Don't you get snotty with me, Ken. Connie,
I think it's up to iPhone 25 at this point. So I mean, I would
25,000. Rocky 5,000. Connie, okay. So you've been gaming a long time. You run LARPs. What about tabletop style TTRPGs?
The LARP I run is actually hybrid. So we have tabletop adventures. In fact, I'm running one on 3 weeks. And so yeah, I GM both the live games and tabletop games. The advantage to tabletop games is since it's all in your mind's eye, it's all imaginary. You could get away with things that you really can't pull off without a budget.
Right.
It's much easier to fight a dragon when you're imagining it versus actually having to build the dragon puppet, get 5 guys to operate it in the middle of a campground. Right. But yeah, I play TTRPGs. I'm playing in a 5th ed game, doing Dragonlance, which is great because I love the richness of the world and the story and the characters.
Oh, it's in Dragonlance. So it's D&D.
Yeah, it's D&D 5th ed. Right. Yeah, Dragonlance.
I made a Dragonlance cartoon that was widely hated.
Listen, Kiefer Sutherland was pretty good in it. Okay.
Lucy Lawless was good. Michael Rosenbaum was
Lucy
good.
Lawless is pretty good.
Lucy Lawless.
The movie itself is, it's interesting. It's interesting.
Sure.
But I mean, it's kind of cool that you had these big names in it. And I mean, I watched a good half of it and was like, yeah, it's D&D. I dig it. What was it called?
Dragons of the Autumn Twilight.
Dragons of the Autumn Twilight.
I think that was it.
Put that up, man. Megan says, not Scare City. So it was called Scare City. So it was not Scare City. I pronounced it wrong. You need to come over and talk to me. I want to introduce you to my contacts. Yeah, Megan does a whole bunch of con stuff.
Okay.
I would not be surprised if you guys have seen each other at cons. I think she does a bunch of cosplay and that kind of thing.
The problem with cosplay is you can't recognize the person because they look different.
Fair.
Yeah,
Fair
it's
enough.
the same way at the Renaissance Fair. It's like you don't recognize people outside of their costume because you get so used to like, this is what they wear, this is who they are.
Right.
And then after hours, they're wearing jeans and a t-shirt. And you're like, how do I know?
Like what?
And I know
what
that
are you?
pirate LARPing is like a big thing in Los Angeles.
Pirate fairs, pirate LARPing.
Yeah, pirate fairs.
Long Beach does a huge pirate fair.
Yeah, I had friends that did a lot of stuff, and I think they were Long Beach. They were a scripty in a film that I worked on. They're always like,
Megan,
you should come out. And I was like, I don't have the right gear. Because I think
you just say
R.
Arr.
I think when you're a pirate, you have to like dress like a pirate.
Yeah.
You can't
You
go
know,
in
it's
slacks.
rip
Part
your
of
pants.
selling the image.
Yeah,
Rip your pants and hit yourself in the face with some
flame.
sand.
Yeah.
Like,
Lot of
I
drinking
washed
involved.
up. I don't know what happened to me. Arr.
Yeah.
Megan's actually the reason I got into LARPing. Thanks, Megan. She helped me make my first White Wolf character. Many, many, many moons ago.
I played a Korax, which is a
What the
were-raven.
Look at a were-raven.
They were ravens. They were allergic to gold instead of silver, and they could transform into birds. That was their.
That's kind of cool.
their form. Yeah, it was kind of fun.
Is that a White Wolf thing or is it a D&D
Yeah.
thing?
Yeah,
Oh,
it was part of White Wolf. Yeah.
Oh, I did not know that. I played a gangrel in the new World of Darkness, which I don't like as much. Patrick ran an old world game, Dark Ages, I think it was, and I played a La Sombra, which was basically an emo kid. And I didn't know the rules, and they make fun of me for it because they're mean. They're mean people, all of them.
Oh.
I remember one LARP I played a Nosferatu, and I would bring candy worms and candy cigarettes,
Nice.
and I would just kind of eat them during the game. So I like that was kind of like my character's tick, was that I would just sort of eat, even though vampires, they don't really do that. My character did, because he was just kind of a half crazy, really old Nosferatu. So I would, at the end of the night, I would have a sugar high from all the stuff that I ate, that I'd eaten, and it was pretty cool.
I remember you came in and you had your hair down, like straight down this way, right? Like, and I think it was you, Holger. You would bite on bottle caps, but they weren't like, and he would be like chewing bottle caps in front of people, like not in the scene. He would just
that hurts my soul.
For the chat and for Ken, there's a power Nosferatu usually have called obfuscate. Right, Connie? Would you like to describe what obfuscate is?
I mean, I know what obfuscate is, because I think most of my characters play that game.
But the power, the vampiric power.
It's been a long time. See if I can remember. Basically, you walk around like this.
Yep.
And it means you're invisible.
Whoa.
Pretty much.
Pretty much.
It's that scene from Bram Stoker's Dracula, the Gary Oldman, Keanu Reeves, Winona Ryder one, where Dracula says, "Don't see me," and he's still there, but people don't. Their brains just don't see it, right? So Holker would like roll in obfuscated with whatever signal,
Mm-hmm.
and he would just appear in the room. Right? Be like, the meeting of like the big bad prince and the big bad warrior king vampire. And they're like, oh, blah, 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 fangs. Right? And Holker would appear in the room in the corner and then just stand there eating bottle caps. And eventually they'd be like, dude, what the fuck?
Who's
like,
this guy?
like, what the fuck is this guy? And he's like, just awesome, perfect, and then would obfuscate away.
That's a
That's it.
level of creep. I love it.
Perfect. It's a horror game. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Okay, so I have done Meetup. You know what Meetup is?
Kind of sounds familiar.
It's where
Do you
you
guys-
meet people late at night. They ask you to go to like large fields on the outskirts of Los Angeles where there's no one around.
It's not Ninja Gaiden. Holker, do you know what Meetup is? Meetup.com. How am I the only person that doesn't know what this is? I don't
It's
know
where you
anything.
swipe right on a whole group of people you've never met.
I don't know anything about anything. People are like, oh yeah, have you tried? And I'm like, no, I've never been on any of it. Meetup is this like, hey, we're having, do you all remember Facebook events?
Yeah, so Meetup was a site that got popular
He knows what it is.
right before social media really got adept at being able to coordinate all this stuff. You had meetup.com, which a lot of groups would run their organization through, right? And
Right.
it's still kind of around, although I've never really used it.
It's kind of around.
And I don't
So-
think anybody ever really uses it anymore, do they? I mean, is it a thing?
They do in Los Angeles.
Oh,
Like,
wow.
well, when I first got out here, I was like acting groups, blah blah blah, and I found a whole bunch of them.
Yeah, meetup.com, not just for trivial night.
So I have not seen. It's all networking events. I have not seen one sort of what you would think the obvious sexy time meetup. I haven't seen any of that shit. Right? It's
Yeah,
literally
it's-
like it's like the
it's like-
LinkedIn for events.
Get hired to do the pyramid scheme thing that we have. I mean, 'cause
Yeah, get a job.
That's a thing in Los Angeles. Like I think I fell for one or two of those when I first moved there. It's like they get you to come into their little office space and office room, and then they start talking about all this stuff.
Then they make a movie.
That you don't know what it is. And like I think they actually have offices like on the Santa Monica promenade where they're these beautiful young women. They're like, come, they grab your arm and pull you up into their office on the second floor. Why don't you? It's not unlike Scientology, I don't think.
Go on.
And they start talking. You don't want to give them any of your information because if you do, like, they're gonna call you.
You don't want the women on Santa Monica Boulevard to call you?
No. They're not on Santa Monica Promenade, not Boulevard.
Promenade. I don't know the
different
LA
thing.
terms. The Boulevard, the Promenade, whatever the fuck. I went to Santa Monica one time.
I lived near a theater called Studs Theater on Santa Monica Boulevard, and I think that's where Boy George got in trouble. No, maybe that was George Michael.
George Michael.
Got in trouble. Yeah. No, Boy
What'd he do?
George has never been in trouble, so I don't want to slander his name. George Michael was also like got the short end of the stick when it comes to
He was in a restroom.
negative press in Beverly Hills.
I don't know anything.
He got a raw
Connie,
deal.
You know what
Like
the-
he didn't deserve any of that shit. That stuff should have stayed private. I think that's.
Was this in the 80s? What was going on?
Yeah,
90s.
90s. And I think
Late
there
90s.
were the people, like, there were some women out there that thought he was straight for some reason, and they were let down. But I mean, clearly,
Well, his music videos definitely led on that he was straight. I mean, he
Yeah.
was hiding it for a long time.
he was. But
Yeah.
good for him.
But I don't know what you're talking about because you're not saying it.
You don't spend enough time on Santa Monica Boulevard
That
near Studs.
I don't.
Studs
You mean
Theater.
promenade? No, you're right. I don't fucking know. I have no idea. I was in Santa Monica one time. It looked like there's this big wall. It looks like there was an earthquake, and I was like, that looks like what I imagine Vulcan to look like.
Oh, you went to the beach in Santa Monica.
I was at the beach.
Yeah.
and with my brother, and we rolled around, and everyone was mean.
Don't swim there. I mean, if you're gonna go
We didn't.
swimming at the beach, like don't swim there. That's rated the worst, most polluted, toxic area to swim.
Wait, really?
Yeah, don't do it. Just don't.
Well, we didn't. It was cold. It's cold.
It doesn't
See, I'm
matter
used
if
to
it's cold.
that.
You can swim in the ocean. It's cold. It's nice.
Go fuck yourself. I am used to South Carolina, fucking Florida, where you get in the water and you feel good.
Yeah, it's
In
hot.
California, it's
got
like
plenty
everything
of
in California is
bacteria.
like, fuck
The
you,
red
fuck
tide.
you, fuck you. Like it.
The,
You better
the-
like it.
the
Don't
beach-
tell me it's not good. Don't say it's not okay.
Yeah,
The
don't
Pacific
insult In and
Ocean-
Out or people will
Don't
come for
insult
you.
in and out, you
Pacific
motherfucker.
Ocean, the Pacific
How dare
Ocean
you,
is
you
so
Eastern
much
person.
more fun. It's so much more fun than the Atlantic Ocean. It's like you get a wave that comes in. It's like 10 feet tall. It's taller than you. You're looking at it. Water's. You get used to the cold water. It's good.
Ken, you're like 35 feet tall. I'm 5'9".
I'm not.
A 10-foot wave kills my ass. What are you talking about?
You dive into it.
I suppose.
I mean,
I run away from it.
The grossest water I ever thought about swimming in was in the Gulf of Mexico. I mean, just don't do it. You're fine. You're fine not doing that.
So the ocean's fine. This is all Republican.
The Republican. The ocean is now Republican
The
propaganda.
ocean is owned by people.
I grew up in a town called Lake Elsinore, and every summer we had an algae bloom on the lake,
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
and
shit,
the algae
that's
bloom
not
would
good.
kill the fish.
Yep.
Yeah, no, algae
Smell
blooms.
that.
That's
That
not
was
joking.
pleasant. That was pleasant.
That's not joking.
My junior high was
That-
right across the street from the water. That was
That
pleasant.
smell.
Well, where'd you grow up? What's that?
Lake Elsinore. It's a
What does
little
that mean?
town. It's a little town on the other side of the mountains from San Juan Capistrano, if you know where that is.
Nope.
It's southwest of here, southeast of here.
Still California.
Still California, yeah. Still Southern California.
Well, California is. I say this to my
Oh,
roommates.
let's do it. Temecula.
Yeah, it's near Temecula, exactly. Yeah. Just down the freeway.
California. I say this to my roommates, and they think I'm joking. I'm like, this place is Sodom and Gomorrah. You realize, like, it is. It is the godforsaken West. There's nothing wrong with that in the scheme of our 21st century mindset, but it's polluted in a lot of ways. It's
They're
pretty
trying
polluted.
to,
I mean,
to remake the Los Angeles River to being more, bringing it
It's-
back.
it's surrounded by concrete.
Well, they're trying to deconcrete parts of it. I mean, you can't deconcrete all of it, but I mean, basically, it injects just a shit ton of water when it rains. Like. And
Where are
that
they
water
stealing the
flows
water
fast.
from?
Well, they're not stealing the water. From
Yeah.
Diverting it from Colorado usually.
Yeah.
Right.
I was
Yeah, that-
swimming. I was swimming in the gulches. That I was in Utah last week, and it was really nice. The gulches that we drank out of that river water, or from like aquifers and stuff. That was pretty good.
What is the
Uh,
Gulches?
They're like, pre Grand Canyon, pre Lake Mead and Lake Powell. We were in Bears Ears, and really beautiful. Great hiking.
And you can drink the water.
Well, we have a filter that takes.
Oh, you
all
had
the
a filter.
bacteria out. You don't just drink out of the tap. I wouldn't do that. I mean, there are lots of places I've been in America that, where springs pop out of the ground and people are like, oh yeah, just drink the water straight without filtering it. There's a parking lot I went to in Eugene, Oregon, and there was this spout, and people were bringing these jars and filling them up and like not filtering it and like just drinking out of it. And they said, if you drink the water, it means you're gonna come back here. And I'm like, I'm not gonna drink that water without a filter. I'm just not gonna do it. It's a
Sounds like,
fucking-
what is it? It sounds like the old fairy legends. If you eat or drink anything, you're never leaving.
Yeah.
That's
I
right.
feel like I'm not gonna leave the bathroom if I drink.
Go wash yourself in the Ganges and then live your next life.
Yeah, I mean, I got sick from drinking. I don't know if it was drinking water or eating an uncooked vegetable in Thailand, and that was unfun
yeah, that'll fuck you up.
for days.
That
I was
sounds
on a-
unpleasant.
I wasn't.
Many
I
moons
didn't drink
ago.
the water on purpose. I think it was a vegetable because I only drank bottled water, but
Yeah, that's the thing. You got to wash everything, and then you wash it with tap water, and it's like, well, fuck.
sure.
That's why they cook all their vegetables.
Yeah,
You
you
know?
gotta cook because they use. We're
They
back
use
to the fecal
hardcore
matter.
pesticides,
Fecal matter, it'll mess you up.
That fecal matter. Yeah, many moons ago, I was on a mission trip in South Dakota, and in typical fashion, the church was. Did you guys go to church?
I was forced to, as an atheist.
I'm not asking for
10-year-old
qualifiers.
kid.
Did you go?
Yes, I
Yes.
grew up
All
with
right.
this.
So you went there, whatever. Cool, you got the praise thing going on, and there's 2 orange coolers. One is filled with iced sweet tea because we're all from the South. The other one, of course, is full of red Kool-Aid. And
Ooh.
everybody drinks the Kool-Aid. Well, it turns out with the iced tea, which is sweet tea, you boil the water to make the tea. You know what you don't do with Kool-Aid? You don't boil the well water because they thought it was a cool idea to, instead of using, you get where I'm going with this?
Oh boy.
Everybody, the next day we were going back home. Mind you, we're in South Dakota. We're driving in the church bus to Kentucky. That takes 24 straight hours, baby.
Oh no,
Oh no.
Oh no.
that's like
So they did-
one of those '80s movies, like
Oh dude. Oh
after
dude.
the hot
It
dog
was
scene or something.
it was glorious.
I've heard
The
this
day
from Cameron.
before, huh?
I've heard this from Cameron.
Cameron was there. I was the first to go down. It was a day before we left, and I was like, I'm gonna go to the bathroom. I kind of feel weird, and I was done. By the time we went home, I wasn't. Like when you get kind of car sick, but you're okay. That's what I was, and it was hitting everyone as we went. We hit up a fucking McDonald's with 2 church vans full.
Oh no.
Emptied out.
Dude.
That was a bad.
Everybody
Wrecked
like
that thing.
they shoveled into one van. We were like, we're the clean van. We're the clean. You know what no one did? No one prayed the entire time. Why?
Where is your God now?
Because we fucking knew the truth, motherfuckers. We were like, "Ugh." Someone was like, oh, the hardship. Go fuck yourself. And
Did
shit
you all ever
yourself, too.
confront the person
you
who
prayed-
made the Kool-Aid?
What?
And say, did you all ever confront the person who made the Kool-Aid and say, what the hell were you thinking? Or no, what the well were you thinking?
Oh.
No, of course not. Of course not. Because it was me. No, I'm kidding. No, of course not. You don't, because you're like the well of Christ, and we're actually trying to save money. So put in that well water. Yeah. The well.
I mean, and is
Of the staff.
that kind
God
of
abandoned
like
this.
give a lot of meaning to drinking the Kool-Aid? I mean,
Um,
you've got your drinking the Kool-Aid.
I don't know what you're talking about.
It's not. What was that?
Just
It's not that
boil your
cult.
fucking water, okay?
Jamestown?
I don't think
That was,
you,
that was Jim Jones.
Jim Jones Massacre. Yeah.
Yeah.
Megan says extra point for Ken. Very good. Okay, Holker, you brought another topic for tonight. What was
I
it?
did?
Oh
Yeah.
wait, let me ask one more question
Oh.
before we move on. You know, because we've been talking about LARPing the whole time. I do suddenly have a second question, but the first question is, what's a good starting LARP character?
Starting LARP character. Play someone that's sheltered, that does not know everything about everything. Learn as you go. There are people that are more than happy to go deep into the lore with you and educate you in and out of character to get an idea of that world. And as you go, you will pick up and you will learn the nuances of the storylines and the characters and the universe and the setting. My very first character was a sheltered, she was a tanner that had been kidnapped by monsters from her home and was from a very remote sheltered village and knew nothing about anything. And that gave me an excuse to ask questions and learn as I went instead of expecting to roll in with this huge backstory that tied into the lore of the world and knew everything. If you're comfortable with that, then do it. If you like involving yourself immediately, then research the story of that world and come up with a character that's a little more central. But if you're new and you've never LARPed before and you're not really comfortable, because you do have to be a little extroverted. It's not a game for inverts. Because you have to try to engage people.
Did you, when in your first character, did you have to spend an amount of time performing your craft?
You just generally did it out of backstory.
Okay.
Like,
backstory.
Between games.
You don't have to mime the process of.
You could. Some people do. Some people bring actual crafts and work on them in the middle of the game. Like they'll bring their sewing or they'll bring actual armor and do chainmail armor in the middle of a game. Again, it all depends on the game and what their requirements are. Some are a little more strict than others. Some are a little more, as long as you fake it, you're fine. Like you could wear chainmail that's made out of printed cloth. In other games are like, no, you have to wear chainmail. So, yeah,
they're doing
it all
a lot
varies.
of things with what are the printing?
3D printing, yeah.
Screen print, or yeah, the 3D printing with chainmail that I've seen on the internet, which has got to really change the way costumes have become so much more elaborate over the years and immersive.
Yeah, some people go all out.
And the second thing
What
is,
if?
Go ahead.
So what if someone wants to play a Nosferatu, right? And they want to go all out, right?
With the makeup and the whole.
No. They just don't bathe.
They generally don't make friends very well. People kind of standoffish, literally standoffish in those kind of situations.
They are Nosferatu, right?
Yeah, right. There's a level of immersion and there's a level of hygiene, right? And as we all know, nerds sometimes have trouble with the hygiene aspect of things.
You don't want to smell the part.
Yeah, you don't want to. I mean, some people will like perfume their costumes. So
I mean, if it's outdoors.
If it's outdoors, if they wanted to, they're more than welcome to, but they're gonna expect people will react both in and out of character to that smell.
What do you think that vampires smell like? Is it? I mean, because they're dead body. I mean, it's decomposing.
I mean, they may not, but if you are you familiar? I mean, Nosferatu characters. I mean, if they were real, they would be horrible.
Yeah, it would smell like roadkill or something like that.
Yeah.
Like big. Yeah. Terrible. Or yeah, I presume. I don't know. I mean, I guess after a while it would probably just smell kind of musky.
I guess it also depends on if you're like a frou-frou vampire that wears perfumed clothes and carries a handkerchief.
Yeah, right.
But I don't know. I guess they smell like must and blood, like stale blood.
Mm-hmm.
That iron kind of smell.
Ugh.
Yeah, if they recently fed, they probably have. Do you know how undead vampires process blood into keeping them alive? By eating it?
I do not.
I don't think they ever go into that. Like, anything
That's
that
like an interesting question, but not what I can answer.
Well, I don't think anybody can. I mean, that's the fiction that we all kind of like. Yeah, vampires are around, but I mean, it's not like metachlorians. Like, that's how the Force is made, right?
Yeah, I don't know how they process it either. There's no real soluble fiber in it. So, I mean, they an eternity of that must be misery.
Sure. I mean, it would make sense if they took young blood and then, transfused their blood into their body. Like, that would make sense. Like, not eating it necessarily, but through transfusion into your veins. Because I think a lot of athletes do that when they're training at higher altitudes. They get blood transfusions from people who have been at the higher altitudes in order to perform,
more oxygenation.
Yeah, with more oxygenation, or and I think that maybe that's the key to immortality. We just need to find a bunch of children and have them donate blood and then put that blood into us. And
you're going the Elizabeth Bathory route here. It's like to bathe in the blood of young women and you'll be young and beautiful forever.
Right. You don't have to eat it, though. I mean, and I think that there are some vampires who have they don't suck their blood through the mouth. It's kind of like, I think Marvel vampires, they
Morbius.
They suck their blood through touch.
Yeah. And then there's energy vampires that feed off people's emotions.
I know a few of those.
I've got a tangential story if you guys want to have time for one more.
Sure.
So years ago, a friend of ours was working as an assistant producer on a reality pilot that they were trying to pitch to the Sci-Fi Network, where a normal person, absolutely normal, average guy, knew nothing, would be put into a specialty group and kind of live that life for a day. So they would put them with LARPers, they put them with furries, they would put them with vampires, people that had an alternative lifestyle that is a little strange from the outside perspective. So the pilot was about vampire people, and they had actual vampires that drink blood, that would cut and drink blood, and they had energy vampires that would kind of draw the emotions off of other people. Well, they decided they were going to have a vampire wedding, and the problem was that they didn't have enough actual vampires to fill the room for the vampire wedding because they were just not the most social of people. So our friend turned to our LARP group and said, "Do y'all got vampire clothes? Do y'all got clubbing clothes? Because we need extras for this reality show." And we all turned out dressed to the nines, eyeliner, goth clothes. I had a big old crucifix on and like a corset and the whole 9 yards. And the director starts asking us to interact with the main host as if we were the vampire people. We're like, dude, you realize we're just the extras, right? But we were more camera ready and more aesthetically pleasing to his vision than the actual vampire people. And it was just so random to pretend that we were actual blood drinking vampires in that subculture lifestyle when none of us were. We were just wearing club clothes.
Now, how many actual vampire people were there? Like ish.
Half dozen.
And
then there was like 10 of us. Yes, it was a small subculture that they were able to access.
This is reality group.
This was a reality show, yeah.
Yeah,
and
it never got picked up.
It sounds to me like it's like micro for nerds, like the Dirty Jobs thing where he would go around.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And like so it's just like do all the most terrible jobs in the world, except for like geeks. Which
it was kind of like that. And they even asked me like, okay, so we want you to be hostile towards the host, like you don't like him and you think he's interrupting your culture.
Oh, wow.
And the guy's showing off his outfit and he's asking us, what do you think? How's it look? And I just give him this look and I'm like, it looks like something you got off the clearance rack at Hot Topic.
Now,
and that was where my clothes came from. Yeah,
yeah,
right.
My clothes were off the clearance rack at Hot Topic.
But where else other than Hot Topic would you find anything like that?
I
mean,
15, 20 years ago, that was
it didn't exist. You had
Hot
Hot Topic and Amazon didn't exist.
And their own. No. So it was.
Oh, when will Amazon not exist?
They're gonna own us all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All of us.
Yeah.
Owned by Amazon. Google, Amazon.
Megan says, "Oh, that is special." Kill star. Dude, that's a thing. Like, you can't trust any of this shit. So it's interesting to not get on Netflix and watch stuff that's on there. I mean, if it's a good show, fine. But pleasantries aside, to make your own fun, right? I think it's interesting that people will go and they'll binge watch loads and loads of series and films that might be pretty good, but they're kind of half-cocked storylines that people that are into storytelling are like, I know what's going to happen because it's a derivative story. And yet people will like make fun of others for creating stories and then wanting to be a part of the stories, tabletop role-playing games, and then getting up and actually doing more of an improv type of LARP type thing.
Well, welcome to Hollywood, the derivative land. That's what it's based off of.
I suppose so. Land of derivation. That's a word I just made up.
Land of exploitation, for sure.
Exploitation.
You got to fit into a box.
What do you think, Connie? You've been here for a while, yeah?
Yeah, my whole life.
Your whole life. So I'm a transplant. I'm one of the people that's making those highways suck. Although I'm never on the highway, so I'm not one of those people. I literally avoid the highways like the plague. What's the deal? I mean, when it comes to gaming, like, what's the end goal? Is it just to have fun? Are we trying to do something? Trying to say something? Build something? What?
I think it's just all a matter of wanting to tell a good story and wanting to be part of the story. Whether you're the game master or the player, the whole goal is to be in something larger than yourself and to give that experience that you're just sitting on a couch, you're watching, you're distant, you're remote, you may be emotionally invested, but it's hard to make that connection when you're just watching a show. But when you're living the experience, when it's happening to you and your friends and your character, you kind of start to connect more to the story, to the actions, to the events. And I think the overall goal is to just tell a beautiful tale and to just for a little while live the life of someone else, whether it's good or bad. It just kind of lets you do something outside of your own normal, boring, everyday life.
So it's an escapism, is what you're saying?
Oh, it's very escapism. It is 100% escapist.
All right. Well, that leads us into something else. Is escapism okay? All right. Let me rephrase this question for the liberals. Connie and I have gamed for quite a while now together with Patrick's game. However, she hasn't gotten the full Monty, Ken, of who I am.
Are you gonna expose yourself now? Are you going? Are you going?
She doesn't quite know who I am. She knows I'm an asshole. What I mean is, okay. Let me give you some background.
You
in
say
my
that
mind,
you're an asshole all the time, but you're not an asshole.
I'm not really an asshole. I'm not really an asshole.
Like, I don't believe you at this point. I mean, I'm about as liberal as they get, and you're all right.
I'm okay.
But go ahead,
Okay.
try. Go ahead and try. I mean,
So here's the idea. I've posited for a while, this is right about the time that Holker and I were running the Vampire LARP. When it comes to escapism, so when I run games, when I play in games, I am not looking for escapism. Now, granted, this is a mentality, and it's going to sound pretentious AF. But I'm not, I enjoy my life. That's perhaps entitlement, right? Maybe it's entitlement, but I enjoy my life. I like who I am, and I want to become a better person. So when I'm gaming with you guys on Stellar Age, and I'm really trying to pull us into some ridiculous role play, constantly,
Which you're good at.
constantly.
Do you play characters called Butthole in this game?
Close.
It's the whole.
I play a character named Balls Talk McGee.
Oh gosh. I mean, I feel like that's the opposite of immersion. I have to say your character names could use
Well, it was a joke. It was a joke. I was like, "Hey, Patrick, yeah, so my character's name's Balls Talks," and he was like, "Cool, let's do it." And I was like, "Okay."
Yeah.
So they call him Togs, which is kind of a cool name, but it's actually Balls Talks McGee.
Well, half the players are going by aliases anyway.
That's right. It's a cool game. My point is this. Right now, oh my God, are you ready for this shit?
Bring your anti-woke garbage. No.
It's not anti-woke. It's
kidding.
art school shit.
Yeah, I'm just
Far too full of himself to only be hold on, what did Megan say? Looking. Just a second. Far too full of himself to be only a part of a greater whole. Truth. Okay.
Yeah.
All
You
right.
got the whole right.
You are breathing. Your heart is beating. You're in real life. It has always fucking pissed me off so much as a dungeon master, GM, arbiter. When people are like, "Well, life got in the way." Go fuck yourself. Life got in the way. You know what? Go eat shit. This is life.
Role-playing is life.
Check it out. There is no fantasy. There is no fantasy, y'all. There's no such thing. There is only waking moments. I can prove it to you. Anyone you know that's dead.
You
ain't got no
make your world.
There's no such thing as fantasy.
You build your world. The world that you live in.
You built your fucking world. So in my mind, when this person who is no longer my friend because she betrayed me. When she did this, I didn't date her, by the way. When she did this, actually, she wanted to date the guy who helped me co-create Dread. It would be a great short film.
Yeah.
She was like, "Yeah, I'm all about escapism." And I was like, "Why?" And she said, "Because my life is boring and I want to be someone else." And I was like, "That is pathetic." That's a judgment on my part. Good, bad, ugly. I was like, "Hey, you person whose name I won't say.
It's harsh.
You are here with us making this vampire LARP. This is important. We're doing cool shit in the weird fucking clubhouse with all these reprobate people. We're making something cool. Don't escape your life." But that's also me taking things too seriously, right? Like, and Connie, I think when you're saying this is escapism, I think we're probably using two different words. Like, same word, different meanings, right? When I think of escapism, I think of somebody like shooting heroin and being like, "I'm escaping my life." I don't think you're talking about that.
It's more like the finding enjoyment in different experiences that you yourself may not be able to participate in otherwise.
Right,
Different
like killing a
scenarios.
dragon.
Yeah, like killing a dragon, or moments of abject terror where you're in the dark and there's zombies and you just hear like noises coming from the forest. And it's a safe environment because, if
Right.
you're really in the dark in the forest and you hear something, then it's an entirely different experience.
Mm.
But it's being able to experience these things in a safe environment where in the back of your mind, you always know that there's nothing that's really going to hurt you, but you can let go of that for a little while.
Yeah,
Right.
And
without all
just
the
experience
side
That's
effects of like
That's an
methamphetamines and stuff
experience.
like that. Yeah,
Exactly, without having to like shoot yourself full of things or get super high.
Right. That's an experience. That is literally living an
Yeah,
experience.
it is.
That's your life living
Oh,
an experience. That's
I
cool.
love
That's
it.
cool.
Yeah.
I
I
would
think that's-
love to do that. I think it sounds like a ton of fun personally. Never done it before. Other
There's
than
always-
Holger's in town.
other
Holger
than
will
when,
run you a vampire LARP.
when I lived in Los Angeles and I wanted to get a job, I feel like that is a really unique form of escapism because you really had to embody someone else in order to get the job.
Yeah. When your work persona versus your real persona.
Sure. Yeah, there's that too.
I haven't figured that part out.
You got to eat shit, man.
I guess so. Hey, Connie, how do you get a job out here? Because
You gotta know people. They gotta know people. It
Mhm.
sucks.
Yeah.
Plus, if you're looking to get into theater, get into acting, now is the worst fucking time ever.
Oh, absolutely.
Right. That's why I chose it. I like to go hard in the paint.
Yeah. You're playing on challenge mode, so.
Yeah. Right. I go mythic.
I
go
keep
mythic.
sending Bill these articles about like wrong
Leave
fucking
LA.
time. You're doing it wrong.
Like, get out.
Get out.
It's true. But I'm just trying to like be like my own self or something.
Yeah, you just
I
do
might
it, man.
kind of like make it.
Don't listen to anybody. Everybody's full of it. Just be you. You be you. God bless.
Start small. Like find local community productions, find like black box theater stuff, things to just kind of familiarize yourself with the people and the environment. And that's a decent way to get not quite noticed. No one's gonna notice and discover you, right? That just really doesn't happen
Volunteering for
Yeah.
different things.
Mhm.
I had a friend that volunteered at the Sunset Ranch, eventually got a job at the Sunset Ranch, and then he got onto Deadwood because they needed people who knew about horses. So you find your niche as well.
Right.
That's a very
Right.
specialized thing, but he
Mhm.
found success, getting into acting and stuff like that. He was talking to like one of the producers and tried to get them to do his theme song instead of the one that they put. So know when to shut your mouth too. I think he would have been in more scenes if he didn't just fucking take a step back.
Yeah.
And let them talk.
My acting teacher, whom I will plug right now, good guy, Gary Emhoff. He said something the last two classes. He was like, a strength is a strength, but when it's overplayed, becomes a weakness.
Makes sense.
Which I do think that's like a nice Instagrammy type thing to say. But
Put it up on
dude,
your gram.
there's something there. Like if you're really good at something, but then you overplay it, maybe it's not so good. And that folds into Howl LARPing. I think it goes into LARPing because you have the same kinds of characters, same players. Let's say they're really good at leading, and they always become, the leader people. And the people that aren't good at leading always become the followers. Sometimes you need to change it up. I think that's good for a game.
Yeah. It sometimes as a game runner or GM or arbiter, whatever you want to call them, you find ways to draw people out by making them the focus, whereas normally they may not be. You come up with scenarios to play to their strength and allow them to step forward and say, hey, wow, this really specific thing that I put in my backstory is suddenly relevant. Let me tell you all about it.
Right.
And that's it's like playing to people's strengths is a good way to give them the opportunity to step forward and take on a different role, play or be something that they're normally not. If they're kind of quiet and reserved, if you tailor something to them that piques their interest and goes with what they like, that may allow them to change their view or change their attitude towards things.
100%. And that's one of the things. So, I started gaming and very, very quickly became a GM, whatever, because that's what, like, I want to control everything, right? But I noticed pretty quickly after many, many years, people that play sometimes are better GMs. I mean, they love playing, but they don't have the confidence, or they just haven't never done it, or it's never been like a reality. And so I'm always interested to see other people storytell, and their method of it is usually different from the people that I've seen from my own. And sometimes it's just, they do things way better. One of the things we do in our group, when we have like when someone's gone, we'll have someone else arbit or GM. And it's always been a positive experience. Like, it's interesting what people bring to it. And I learn, as a player, I'm sitting there like, oh, wow, I really like the way they pulled that off. And it gives them confidence too, because they're like, oh, wait, it sort of demystifies the I'm going to run a game. It's like, it's hard, but it's not outside of your purview. You can fucking do it, and you're actually good at it. Yeah. Holker.
Guest storytellers are always fun.
Holker needs to run in.
What?
Yeah, you're up next, dude. We've had Ken. Ken now is a GM. Rocks and rolls.
I mean, I GM'd one time. I arbited one time. I used to arbit a game, my own homebrew game, when I was a kid, or in high school and in college, or not in college, but in high school. It was fun then. I enjoy it.
He's really good. Like, I roll in, and it was for sort of like a Halloween type thing, and they were all dressed up. Like, everybody had one like a costume, like full on cosplay, and I was like, oh, motherfuckers, they know how to do it. How did he get that done? Then this last one, we had Drizzle. I don't know if you met Drizzle. I don't think you've seen Drizzle, Connie, but he's one of the greatest humans in the world. Super into horror, knows all kinds about the horror genre, and ran this awesome game. Perna de Pal says, Hodka, Hodka, Hodka. What's up, Perna? Perna de Pal.
Howdy.
Yeah, we were just talking about Ulfazin. And they're going to be at Eminence, Kentucky. That's right. I'm plugging right now. Eminence, Kentucky, the Highland Renaissance Fair. This weekend, I think it's starting. So if you're in Kentucky or around Kentucky, it is an amazing Renfaire. And you're going to see the Ulfadin Vikings kicking some ass. Perna de Pal is one of my old GMs as well.
Is that where I think I've seen a video of you fighting somebody who's like,
that would be Perna de Pal himself. Yeah, he kicks my ass with a spear.
And he just kind of owns you as you get decimated.
It's pretty awesome. So we took the choreography from so Ulfadin Vikings Entertainment. They've got a bunch of martial artists, a bunch of stage combat, etc. They're I just said etc. I want to kick myself in the face. They are legitimate in a lot of ways. We took the fight scene from Troy, from Hector and Achilles, and Perna de Pal and I adapted it, as well as a dude named Jacob the Woos. We adapted it into this fight, and I think they have a much better version of it now, actually.
Oh, can you send me
really
the link?
Cool stuff?
Where do I find the link of you though? I want to see that video because I can't remember where.
You can't find.
I can't.
It's
remember
probably on
where-
my actor's reel, Ken,
Is it on
which
your
you can
actor
find on my
sheet?
actor website,
I don't even think I can find your act.
WilliamHurstActor.com.
I don't. Is that on your actor's reel?
You should check them out if you're in and around Kentucky, and I think they're traveling quite a bit. Yeah,
No,
Perna
I-
says choreography Bill and I did after we learned the bones from a fight from Troy and made it our own. Yeah, dude. There
Cool.
was once, so they make their own weapons, which Connie Perna also helps out with River City LARP, doing the Boffer LARP and stuff.
Mhm.
So they make their own weapons. In Wolfenden, they do live steel, so it's like the spears and the spearhead, the whole thing, and the shields. They got a whole thing. They make Viking shields. Really cool stuff.
It looks real.
Anyway.
It's super
Dude, it's-
authentic.
It is quite real. So Perna and I, we were going, doing this thing in a performance once, and you know the sun's bleeding down, and we'd beaten up the shield quite a bit. And he does the Troy move, the thing that Brad Pitt does, where he goes up in the air and does the boom with the spear, and it busts the shield. And it is such a real moment. Like we throw the shield down, and we're like, ooh, play it all out. Is so cool, so real. And because he is so good at stage combat, I did not get hurt. Like he was able to actually hit the shield. It broke. He saw it and pulled it back. Very, very cool stuff. Very cool stuff. Anyway, check that shit out if you get a chance. Why did I start talking about that? Because Perna DePal jumped on the deal, and I wanted to give him some love. He was one of my first DMs, Dungeons and Dragons 3.5. And that's where I learned the ropes. Here's my thing with 5th edition. Connie, why do you play 5th ed instead of AD&D?
Because it's harder to find people that still play AD&D. I don't have a game master. But
Now,
I have
do
a
you-
friend that regularly DMs 5th ed. And so I play that.
Well, is there a calling for AD&D DMs? Because I mean, I would run.
Sure. Well, if you go, I usually play VTTs, virtual tabletops, just because
Oh, okay.
I don't have a gaming group here, and with COVID, it's just much safer to just do it online.
Sure.
But there are definite calls for gaming groups that play things, and I believe you can even find them if you go to roll20.net.
Yeah.
Plug in that server, because I play on that all the time.
Would you ever be down to playing something that's not D20? Hint.
Yeah.
Hint.
Yeah. I like other games. I like other systems. I regularly play D6, which is what the Stellar Age is based off the old West End Games D6. I play that all the time. But yeah, if there's other games and other systems, I'm always.
I mean,
down for-
I've heard of other systems that exist.
yeah,
At
other
least one.
systems.
Holker's
least
wearing a
one.
T-shirt right now.
Conveniently enough, look at that.
Look at that. Megan
going
says she could
big.
run things. She could.
Yeah, it's true.
Indeed.
It's true.
So Perna says it went right through the shield and we kept playing it out. It was awesome.
Very cool.
Like it was one of those moments where you're like, oh, you know, in Braveheart, where it's William Wallace and the Irish guy, and they're hiding on the arrows. The arrows come through and they're like, oh fuck. And he's like, you're fucked. It was that moment. It was really cool.
like LARPing for those kind of moments,
That's right.
right? Where it's like you get caught up in it, and it's like, this was so cool. This could have been in a movie, but it happened to me.
But it happened to you. Perna DePal says, valid response, Connie. So I've been investing a lot in AD&D box sets. I'm jealous. I just picked duplicate A light in the Belfry. A light in the Belfry.
A light in the Belfry.
In Nightmare Lands. Fuck yeah. Perna says, I hear Dreadlore's good. He is also one of the Patreon members. And OG Kickstarter people.
The only reason
Yeah,
I
dude,
don't,
we're wearing the same shirt. We did not coordinate this.
the only reason I don't play Dungeons and Dragons is because I I don't buy into that corporate stuff. I wouldn't do it. I met Bill, and I think the first thing I said to him was like, I want to do a live stream of a game, and they were running Dungeons and Dragons at the time, and I was kind of like, oh well, that's cool or something. But then we became friends after that, and I said, why don't we? Because he talked about his book, and I was like, let's do your book. And I think I finally got him off of the
fifth ed kick.
Ed kick. And then that scandal happened, where they're like, you got to pay licensing.
Yeah, that was ridiculous.
And that, I think, hurt them. But it seems like they're back to whatever better.
They kind of. Yeah, saner heads prevailed, I think, and they said this is a dumb fucking idea. Who came up with this?
But then, Critical Role, they moved on.
Yeah,
they built their own game. They're still playing, I think, one of their games, but I bet they phase out their AD&D.
I think they were talking about doing that.
5e,
like changing to their own system type stuff.
Yeah.
Well, they have their own system that they play. One of their 6 shows.
Well, that's the thing.
One of these days, we hope to be 5 days a week with role playing games like every week. I'm sure.
Well, yeah, that's the thing though.
Dream.
Like, if you make your whole, I mean, those guys on Critical Role, like, they weren't famous, but they were fairly okay known voice actors. Some of them.
They were internet famous.
I'm sorry.
Internet famous.
Yeah, and
internet famous
within
was
their big already.
Yeah, it was getting big.
It
was getting big.
I watched
with Felicia Day and the whole thing.
When they left, I think they took their audience. They just like stole Geek and Sundry's audience. There was a little scandal or something like that, and they're like, we're out. And then like,
although Felicia Day was gone by that point.
Yeah.
Right. So is this idea of like Geek and Sundry was a thing,
sure,
with the guild and whatnot, like YouTube aristocracy, and then Felicia Day leaves. She got Critical Role in, and Critical Role starts exploding. So did they really steal their audience, or did they make that explosion of an audience? I'm not trying to like, schlob the knob of Critical Role here, right? Sure. They were quasi-famous as voice actors. Now, in the gaming community, everybody fucking knows who they are. Sure. So suddenly, Hasbro reminding you, it's not WotC, it's not Wizards of the Coast, it's Hasbro. It's the fucking Amazon of toy makers, okay? These motherfuckers probably, I don't know, this is completely unsubstantiated, what I'm about to say. They probably make fucking, like, weapons of war, okay? They're a huge corporation. They own D&D, all right? Suddenly they're like, oh, we're going to, like, try to make more money off you and threaten their livelihood. If I was Critical Role, I'd be like, let's shift. Let's shift to something we own, right? Or something that's not going to pull the rug out from under us. I understand why D&D is a thing. It's cool, but it's owned by fucking pirates, man.
Sure.
It is.
If Hasbro doesn't make weapons of war, I'm certainly sure that they make decoys of some kind that will, that look real, maybe. I don't know. You put into play.
I kind of wonder.
Terracotta army of sorts.
And that's the thing. Like, I would love for people to adopt Dreadlore as a system, but getting them away from D20.
Yeah, but I don't think it's D20. I think it's the reason people continue to play D&D is it took them a long time to learn, and so they think that it's complicated. Like, all role-playing games are complicated. It's hard to learn a new game. There's that new program smell. It takes effort to read a new book and like understand the world. I do have to say I enjoy Dreadlore because it can be pretty rules light, and it's adjective-based role-playing game, so it doesn't need a lot of different dice necessarily. It can be theme kind of built.
Perna says that's what Dungeons and Daddies did. They've been playing COC more and exploring other systems. I asked what COC is. I actually know what COC is.
Did we have one of those guys on our podcast?
I think we did. I think there was a guy that did Dungeons and Daddies on here.
And if he didn't do Dungeons and Daddies, he definitely referred to them.
It may have been Bill Allen.
Yeah,
Bill Allen sounds like he would know a lot about D&D.
Yeah.
Oh, Call of Cthulhu.
Okay.
Yeah, I like D10. Is that Call of Cthulhu?
It's D100, yeah.
D100,
I mean, there is a D20 version of Call, but nobody plays it.
I think D10 based role playing game, metric role playing games is what they'll all be in the future. They're all going to be metric.
We played D6, Connie and I, in Patrick's game, The Stellar Age. What do you think of D6, Connie?
Oh, that was my first role playing game. Was D6. More so than classic AD&D. And I like the idea of the wild die or the chaos die, where exploding dice, right? So you roll a D6. If you roll a 1, something bad happens and you lose your overall score. If you roll a 6, then you get to roll another dice. And if that rolls a 6, then you roll another dice. So even though you may have a low roll, you may be rolling 2 to 3 dice, but if you're lucky, you can have exponential success to crazy status. And it adds an element of, yes, you may have rolled 3 dice but you scored like a 30 on 3d6 because you just kept adding. Or you may have like 6 dice in something, but you roll a 1. So maybe you succeed. Me. Yeah. So maybe you just like succeed. You failed upwards, you know?
That's right.
It just adds more of a random element to the story. And then you come up with a narrative. Well, what happened? How did this go right? Or how did this go wrong? And that's the same with any dice-based system, really. I mean, if you roll a natural 20 in a D20-based game, yay, you got a crit or whatever their special rules are. But it doesn't really, it all depends on the narrative of the system. Like, what does that mean when it translates to games and story play?
Yeah, Numenera does a pretty good job of it in D20, in that they say, okay, well, there's like I forget what the actual term is for it, but it's this idea that if you get a crit, then the player gets a little bit of a infraction. Is that the word? The player gets a little control of the narration. And there's points where the DM or the GM can do that. Basically, it's trying to do degrees of success and failure. So one of the things Perna says is, I enjoy dice pools. The Shadowrun system and other D6 style games is D6. I like D6 because, not because of the degrees of success. I like it because there's a bell curve of progression. So if you're shitty at something, it doesn't take you very long to get not shitty in terms of advancement. But then to get good, it takes a really long time. And you fan out into specialties and all these things. And then it takes a long time before you get into dice bloat. And then the game breaks down at high-powered epic games.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I've played the game where you're dropping 12 dice on things. It's just ridiculous.
Or 30 dice or 80 dice.
I played a game like that, too. It's called Axis and Allies.
I love Axis and Allies. So many dice. The best amount of dice. I hope we get a chance to play that game.
You guys should probably get together and play it. You fucking cretins in your Axis and Allies. You should put Twilight Imperium too. Fuck you.
I mean, why not? There are those web browsers that you can just type in whatever amount of D6. You don't have to roll the dice. You
gotta roll the dice, man. Connie, what do you think about digital dice versus rolling actual dice?
I have dice right here on my computer.
You gotta have real dice, man.
I love real dice. I collect real dice. I love them.
Let's
so
roll 6d6 right now.
Okay. I could do
Megan says Exalted was the most dice.
I got 21.
Holy shit, Dalton's on. Dalton was Dalton Anderson is one of the chief artists in the Dreadlore book. So if you check out the characters you can play, the races, Dalton is the artist for all of those. Very, very cool stuff. It's chapter 2, Holker, if you're looking for it.
I'm at 22.
Dalton says he's also part of Ulfithen back in the day.
19.
I win.
Because I like the narrative dice system in the Edge of the Empire TTRPG. I've never played Edge of the Empire. Have you guys played it?
No. Oh, is that the art? Oh, that's beautiful. Look at that.
Oh yeah, dude. Well, no, that's Tim Roberts. Keep on going to the actual. So that's
cool.
That's Permanent to Pow. Yeah, keep on. Yeah, there you go. Boom. That's Dalton's work right there.
Ooh.
Yeah, and here's the thing. Okay, so I
Hold on.
I needed an artist. I needed some artwork, and so I asked Perna, and I was like, "Hey, look, I need some art," and he just immediately produces art. Okay, Dalton, we're sitting there playing a game that my buddy, or that our buddy Nigel was running, and I'm like, "Yeah, man, I need this artwork," and he's like, "Oh, I mean, I draw sometimes. I guess I could do it." Dude throws down like the world map, all these races, like just explodes digital art out of nowhere. And I'm like, dude, I didn't know you do this. And he was like, oh, I don't. I just did it. Like, didn't do it at all. Like, threw down. So these two guys pretty much made
where's
the
the
artwork
art
in Dreadlore.
for the games we play? I mean, I feel like we can add some more worlds here,
Pretty much my whole thing is exploitation of artists. So I have one of my players who just creates free art.
You can just export. You
how
only
am I
want to
making
export
art?
one artist at a time. Those poor fuckers at Couchfire Media.
Those guys. I mean, they make some good art. But it's a thing. These guys, they're incredibly talented people. And also, Dalton is one of the Kickstarter people for Dreadlore.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So, yeah, it would not have happened had these dudes. They all have this shirt. I'm just saying. Okay, dice systems. Here's the thing. In my humble opinion, D4 is clearly the best.
Oh, I hate D4. Hate it.
Connie, what do you think about D4s?
Hard to roll. There's no weight to them. It's like
D4 is clearly the best system that there is.
D4s. I always roll a 1 or a 2 on a D4. Like
Yeah,
always.
well,
It doesn't matter how I shake the dice or hold it.
No.
Like I could roll 3 D4s and I'll get 3 1s.
D6s are pretty good. I mean,
yeah.
Yeah, I have some art in the book, Perna. It's true. And it's
I
okay.
have 2 of Bill's paintings.
And balloons too.
And balloons.
Lots of balloons. Yeah, we're gonna run some more Dreadlore games. Connie, I would love for you to run a Dreadlore game.
Run one
yeah.
or play one?
Yeah.
Both.
Play in one and then run one.
Okay,
I want people to have more games. I would like the game to be out there, being played, if people dig it. It is it's a different way of playing. Both Perna has played. Dalton, of course, has played.
But that's kind of the
Dalton's
point.
run. Perna's run. They've run at cons and everything. What'd you say, Holker?
But that's kind of the point, though.
What's
It's a
the point?
different way to play.
It's a different way to play. Exactly. And but that also, while that's a strength, it's a bit of a weakness too, because people are like, they come at it thinking, oh, it's D&D.
Mm-hmm.
But it ain't D&D. I mean, imagine like playing the Star Wars game with Patrick and thinking it's D&D.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to work that way. you know? Yeah.
It works.
Okay.
The way Dreadlore really works is if you've decided that you're going to do something and you can just skip over all of the details and get to the end and kill the big bad boss like that. Based off of one.
It can work that way.
Series of bits.
Verna says once fair is over, which is starting this weekend, I think. I think tomorrow.
Corona.
He's gonna run
Ducky.
an online game. What'd you say?
I think I played in one of his games once, and he was amazing. It was like,
Oh yeah.
we were on airships, I think,
Oh yeah.
and it was super cool. I was blown away. And then I don't know if Andrea was in that game, but I'm pretty sure that the airship we were on took a brutal course because of what they did.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's the Great Drop, which actually Perna wrote for.
Oh yeah, it was fantastic. It was just a lot of fun.
Connie, what did you say about this weekend?
Oh, there's another Renaissance Fair opening in Corona in California.
Oh, okay. What is it? Are you gonna go to it?
Probably not.
Oh.
Yeah, let's not talk about them.
Yeah.
I'll give it a shout out. The Cronenberg Renfaire. It's also a site where they LARP.
Okay.
An actual permanent village in Corona,
nice.
California. There's a game called Twin Mask that's huge. I'm pretty sure you've heard of Twin Mask if you've heard of.
I have not.
LARPing. Okay.
I have not.
It's huge. It's one of the more popular ones, and it's got hundreds of players, and it's set in an actual village. So it has that whole atmosphere again. That immersion level is just really high for that game. I've never had the chance to play it though. So
that's the thing. If I'm gonna do a LARP, I want it to be like straight up. I want it to be immersive. And when I go to a Renfaire, I want it to be immersive. Like I want everybody to be in accents. I want it, you're dressed up, you're doing your thing, because that's like your whole day. It's in the sun. You're gonna be drinking a lot of cider and mead. You're gonna be hungover. Like, it better be worth it, right? I want the fucking turkey leg, and I want to, do the whole thing, like throw somebody in the pillory, whatever. But when you get there, a lot of times people are breaking character, and I get it. I suffer it.
you don't want to hear my opinion on the Renaissance Fair. That's a topic for another day.
Yeah, what is your opinion on
the whole
Renaissance
topic? I'll put it the easiest way I can describe it. When I started working the Renaissance Fair, it was for the Living History Center.
Oh.
It is now Renaissance Entertainment. Renaissance Entertainment Corporation.
Oh.
Or
Okay,
Renaissance Pleasure Fairs Incorporated. It's
so this is something I'm gonna assume. I'm gonna assume some stuff, but I'm gonna let you finish. So, what are the kind of infractions you saw?
It went from being about history, education, and bringing people into that world to being more about fantasy and external forces. And like you said, people were breaking character. They weren't being part of the village. They weren't being part of that, again, immersive world. Which when I started, it was all about the living history and education and giving people a little taste of history. And now it's, as my husband puts it, a costume swap meet.
I'll agree with that. I will say this though. So one of the things that we did when we were doing, or when I was in Ulfithen, it's live steel, and so there's an, it's an entertainment show, and a lot of the stuff is legitimate, but like the boots that we have, they're leather, but they got tread on the bottom. Oh yeah, which of course Vikings didn't have.
No.
So there's some people that roll in that are like, oh my God, but it's like, dude, these guys are doing stunts.
No, you have to be safe.
Also weren't doing stunts,
No. There's a degree to which you have to be allowing for safety and for showmanship. If it was completely pure, there's a quote by Neil Gaiman that I'm going to paraphrase. May as well just spray them with shit as they walk through the door.
As in they were all covered in shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everybody. I mean, everything this episode, I think we should title it
covered in shit.
Fecal matter at the very least. I don't think we can say shit in a title on YouTube because we'll get reprimanded for being
we could
18 and over. I think they'll not like it.
Nobody likes me on
Not
YouTube.
for the feeble-minded.
Anybody looking forward to the next season of that Neil Gaiman?
I think it's good. I think it's good.
I
think it's
read all
really
the
good.
comics. Some of it was shot for shot. Dialogue was lifted right off the pages.
Sure.
Actors are all phenomenal.
Yeah, they changed some of the actors significantly.
Spoilers alert. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Spoilers. So, I thought it was interesting that Brienne of Tarth was Lucifer. What'd y'all think of that casting?
Gwendolyn Christie is an amazing actress. She's statuesque. She is tall. She is sculpted. She is a good choice for Lucifer because she had kind of that slightly androgynous thing. And if you look at the comics, he looks like Bowie.
Yeah.
He's got that whole kind of guy, kind of girl thing going. And she's, a lot of the shots, they didn't really have to make her taller than she is because she's really tall.
She's really tall. Yeah.
She's really super tall. So they didn't have to do a lot of like digital manipulation or costuming. And she has that kind of regal presence to her that you would expect from somebody playing a fallen angel.
Right. Now, what did you think of the casting for Dream?
He was good. He had that brooding kind of melancholy that permeates Dream's character. And he looked pretty good. He was tall, spindly, skinny guy, dark hair, dark eyes. I mean, that's what you really want to see in Dream.
All right. So, what do you think of the two things? One, what they did with Death.
I don't care the color of her skin. She's not pasty white. She was warm. She was friendly. She had that kind of generosity that you expect from the character. I don't care that she was a black woman.
What did you think about their casting for Van Helsing? Is it Van Helsing? No, Constantine. Sorry.
Constantine.
Yeah.
I understand why they had to go with Jenna and they had to change the gender because they had to avoid some of the DC properties that were linked to the Vertigo comics. That's my understanding, is that because Constantine is a DC character with the Vertigo property, the Vertigo tie-in, they had to switch it so that it wouldn't be part of that universe. That's
it's all DC universe.
Yeah.
What did you think about Dream's? I can't remember her name. His
Lucian?
sort of
librarian.
The librarian, because I've only read about a third of the story before me and my co-creator broke up, and he's the one who had the book. I never saw that character. I like the character, but I never saw the librarian character. So what were your thoughts, and is that a new character or is that a character actually in the book?
Oh, Lucian the librarian's a character in the book.
Is in the book.
It was a male character.
Oh, it is a male character.
So they gender swapped it, yeah.
So I could not remember the character at all. I thought it was just to fill out the sort of narrative to make it work on film. So it is a character.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think of the gender swap and as prominent as that person is?
They do play a minor role, and it is largely exposition. So the gender swap doesn't really affect me because the gender wasn't central to the character.
Right.
It didn't matter if Lucian was male or female or neither. Like Desire obviously is non-binary, but that's how Desire was written in the books too.
Right.
So that's not a stickling point for the storyline, what gender that character may be. So I had no problem with them, casting a woman in that role.
It was interesting for me, like seeing it, there was nothing egregious. Like at no point was I like, at no point did I feel browbeaten, which a lot of times I really do. I feel like a lot of new stuff is not made for my demographic. Or it's loaded with socio-political themes. And
as a middle-aged white guy, I feel like you should be like just watching the news anyway. So you don't get.
but I
fiction
didn't
anymore.
feel
It's
like
on
that
you.
watching this. I really really enjoyed it. I didn't know the Lucian character. I just didn't get enough into the book to know it. I liked what they did with that character. With Death, I wasn't expecting it to be, a black girl, but she pulls it off.
That's
Mhm.
Like
great.
Death can be
Yeah.
anything she wants. And in
Yeah.
fact, when you see Death, again, spoilers, when you see Death, she is not what you expect in the book. You
Mhm.
don't expect Death to be this spunky girl. Right? And so it
Mhm.
works. It works
Yeah.
really well, I think. What was my other question? Those two.
I was also being really sardonic, so
I know.
it was dripping with.
So Charles Dance, perfect in my opinion
Yeah.
for the wizard. But they expanded that role because that's kind of not what happened in the story. What'd you think of that?
Well, you have Charles Dance, you use him.
You should.
I think they did a good job of taking like short form stories and pushing some elements out longer and some elements in shorter in the comic. Like I did feel that some of the Constantine stuff was a little drawn out. Like it
A little
could have
bit.
been a little shorter. But what they did with oh god, I'm blanking on the name of the mage.
Oh, I
It'll
can't
come to
remember.
me. It'll come to me in the middle of the night, and I'll go, "Oh yeah, that." I think they did that well to give the whole beginning, the whole setup of the story with
An impetus. Yeah.
yeah, to kind of drive home this is how Dream was treated for 50, 60, 70 years, and why he goes through this whole journey of like self-exploration and recovering his lost power and all that. So
Do you think Constantine was underpowered or overpowered?
I think there was a little too much, especially considering we see Constantine's. Okay, I won't say it. Spoilers. I won't go into it.
No, we've already done spoilers. We're good.
Okay, we're still in
Spoiler
spoiler mode.
guys.
There's a whole during I believe it was called Thermidor, one of the other comics. We see an ancestor of Constantine.
Yeah.
And it's going to be the same actress from what I understand. It's going to be Jenna Coleman again, I believe. It's going to be playing the ancestor of Constantine as well, based off what Neil Gaiman said. But I mean, the character, I love Matt Ryan. I can't help it. Matt Ryan is my favorite Constantine. Sorry, Keanu. So it was a little weird for me to watch the character that I wish could have been Matt Ryan instead Jenna Coleman. Nothing against Jenna, but
when I saw that Constantine was a woman, my first reaction, truthfully, was of course they made her a woman. Like, of course, they needed to gender bend that because they needed diversity. That was my immediate thought. I accepted it quickly, because it doesn't matter. But of course, it's a change, right? And I think, well, why'd they make the change? The issue that I had, the ancestor that they show, I loved because she's flawed. She's kind of a bad person.
Yeah.
And then the present day Constantine, she's very flawed. She's got a big old ego. What I did not like about her was she looks at Dream and she kind of like knows who he is and still trances him. And I was like, that's an endless dude. At some point, you should be scared. Even Constantine, especially Constantine, should know that's a dude that has no problem ruining you.
But
that guy has no rules. He will ruin you if you fuck with him.
Sure, but I mean, in the very beginning, he's pretty powerless for a good amount of the.
But she doesn't know that. No. I mean, she doesn't know it that way. There was a point where I was like, she's immortal and she knows she's amortal and she knows who he is. Constantine's this tortured individual that I don't know. There was something that I didn't like about how she played it or how it was written for her. That it is a woman's role, I don't care. But I would be lying if I thought that they didn't make her more powerful and make her Tadao the white guy dream dude because he's a white guy and she's a girl.
But he's
not the most politically correct thing to say.
This white guy is going to
the
bed.
fucking truth. You better go to bed, Holker.
Good night.
Yeah.
It's nice meeting you.
Night, Connie. Not everyone else. See ya.
Yeah, not everybody lives on the West Coast.
But that's my deal. That's my deal. Like, is that true? I don't know. And am I looking for it? Do I have a chip on my shoulder about it? Kinda. I do. When I see new media and I'm like, am I going to get browbeaten? Whereas when I see Alien and I see Ellen Ripley kicking ass, it's not even a thought. Right? I'm trying to think of some other stuff. There are other things. When I see Halo, I know it is fucking anathema to the Halo franchise in terms of the actual story, but I enjoyed the shit out of the Halo series. When I see those badass women, they are badass women.
Is that a movie?
No, it's a series.
TV series.
I mean, is it a TV series? They made it.
Yeah.
They made a TV series out of Halo.
They bastardize they absolutely skullfuck the Halo lore. It is not.
It's like Metro
at all correct. However,
I enjoyed it because I don't know the Halo lore, right? I came in completely clear of that. And I liked the guy playing Master Chief. I thought he was cool.
I still liked it. I thought it was good. The story, the moment that I was like, take my mind out of the Halo thing. This is good.
It's on
and it all seems real. The girl, so again, spoilers.
Yeah.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Go. I mean, I'll turn
the
it
girl
off
who Master Chief, what?
I said I'll turn it off real quick.
Hi, right? I think her name was the blonde.
No. The Master Chief rescues her. She's just a communications officer.
Oh, that one. Okay, yeah.
Immediately, I was like, I know what the story's going to be because that's in some other stories. It's in some of the games of someone who's very weak. They see the Spartans and then they become a Spartan 4. Made sense. And throughout the whole thing, she becomes a badass. She takes the time. She's flawed. And when she's a badass, she's actually a badass.
Mm-hmm.
But she's not a Spartan 2 badass.
Mm-hmm.
It's within the lore. They set it up. I really like that. I didn't feel browbeaten.
Well,
with Constance
mech suits. They're like their suits are, everybody's kind of super.
Yeah, the Mjolnir armor is a whole thing.
Yeah,
like they're 10 times themselves in the Mjolnir armor, but so they're faster, they're stronger, they're more intelligent, they're bigger, they're whatever. Yeah. Anyway, that's my deal. I really did like Sandman. I really did like it, and I'll continue watching it. But there were a couple points that I was like, you don't need to do that. Like, it doesn't need to happen to make the character awesome. Because the character's also already awesome. Constantine is already awesome. You don't need to make her more awesome, right?
Yeah, that's why I felt like there are some things where she just seemed to have the wrong kind of attitude. A little more respect or awe would have been appropriate, even though it's Constantine, and Constantine is traditionally an asshole.
Right. But Constantine still knows who the devil is, who still knows who God is.
He still knows who the Endless are. Yeah.
Yeah, he still knows what's up. Or she still knows what's up.
They.
All right. Last thoughts, Connie, and then we're going to close this up. Anything you want to tell us? And we would like an adage or a joke or a nursery rhyme or last words, whatever an aphorism of sorts. Mini LARP, whatever.
I could sing for you a snippet of the song I wrote about boobs.
Do it.
Yeah.
All right. This is performed
love
by my
it.
friends, Sportive Tricks. You can go to sportivetricks.com and look them up. They perform at Renaissance fairs, Irish pubs, all kinds of places. I was one of their sopranos and songwriters many, many years ago, but they're still very dear to me. And this is a song I wrote called Her Cups Runneth Over. Call them jubblies or titties, a bosom, a bust. There's nothing quite like them to fill me with lust. From old London town to the white cliffs of Dover, I love me a lassie whose cups runneth over.
Cheers. Huzzah, I should say.
Huzzah. Yes.
Thank you very much, Connie. Thank you so much for jumping in clutch and being the guest tonight. It was very good. Very cool.
Fun. Thank you for having me.
You saved us from our own echo chamber.
Yeah.
Which is
Saved
nice.
us from ourselves.
Ken, you want to lead us out?
I will. I got it. I know that part. That part I can do really well. Tonight, our guest was Connie. What was your full name, Connie?
Constance Chamberlain.
Constance Chamberlain, not to be confused with Constantine. Wow. Geeky Gamer Podcast is 7 p.m. every Thursday.
Exactly.
Scored by all lowercase letters and Mr. Interrupt. Thanks to our Patreon folks who actually were on the stream and in the chat tonight.
Oh yeah.
Tim Roberts, Daniel Hulker, Nostalgic, and Natalia Cline. Couchfire Media brings the art and media production as well as Trois Reblay Productions does all that other shit, I guess.
Yeah, they do something.
This is the Geeky Gamer
Thanks to our
Podcast.
sponsor.
Say that 3 times fast.
Thanks to our sponsor.
I don't remember.
Good
the
intentions.
sponsor. Oh, I thought it was like clean windshields or something.
It was Windex. Thanks, guys.
It wasn't Windex because we'd be making a lot.
We would make a lot more money. Clean your fucking windows, Windex. Yeah, guys. Thank you so much. We'll be back next Thursday.
Windex, if you want to sponsor us, please do. Bye, all.
Bye.
Good night.